Welcome back, Statliners, to another episode of Bats and Stats presented by ScoutTheStatline.com. I am, as always, Brian, my compadre, just Ross. We got a long one today. And we are going to be doing the top 30 outfielders by ScoutTheStatline.com. 30, Ross. 30 of them.
30. We're doing all 30 in one sitting. So by the time this comes out, it's probably going to be 2024, the new year. We're recording the day before New Year's Eve. So this is going to be our New Year's Eve celebration. And it's going to be joyous. And it's probably going to be the most inebriated bats and stats that we've ever done. Because we got hours to go.
It's probably going to be the 30 through 15 is going to go really well. 15 to 1, you might hear some radical shit come out of our mouths.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we do that, obviously, Happy New Year to everyone. I got a little inspirational message or statement, I guess, resolution, if you want to put it that way. It's my resolution, but I hope everybody does this if you're like me. So a little bit about me. I'm a very competitive guy. I turn everything into a competition. I don't know why. I've always been that way. But I always strive to be better than everybody, whether it be just in sports or in jobs, in life in general. I always want to be the best. And I think that's a bad thing. It can be good. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's a bad thing because I'm always comparing myself to somebody else rather than just being the best that I can be. So that's my New Year's resolution. I want to be the best Brian that I can be and not better than everybody else. I think, do you understand what I'm saying, where that's kind of a bad thing? You're just always competing with somebody. It's not good for you. So that's my resolution.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's great. That's an awesome resolution. I mean, I'm a very competitive person too, as you know, but always striving to be the best that you can be and not trying to be, just better than other people. That's super noble. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It popped into my head this morning, so I thought I'd share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, enough with the I don't know, tearjerker stuff or something. I don't know. Let's get into our beers.
Okay, well, you shared a resolution. I don't really do resolutions so much. I just try to reflect on my past year and, think of the things that I probably do a little bit better and then focus on doing that. I try to do that every day, right? That's the goal. Some days I come up a little short and that's okay too, but the process of continuous improvement, I think, is what it's all about. So I'm not one for resolution specifically, but I want to get better as a person, grow as a person. I'd also like STS to expand and improve as well. So, looking forward to it. Let's go.
Got it. Now you're bringing the competition back in me, and now we got to destroy the Dynasty Gurus and Prospect Live. And I'm just teasing.
Yeah, all of our friends out there, we're going to take them down.
Put their heads on pikes, as you always
say.
That's right. Just teasing everyone. But yeah, without further ado, let's do our beers. We got to be drinking during this thing, and I'm going to let you go first. I'm pretty excited about mine. I'm going to let you go first, but you mentioned that you have a few.
Well, so I mean, I got a whole 6-pack of a variety of beers over here, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going into detail because this is 3 hours. I'm probably going to be having a few of these, but I would like to at least share what I'm drinking with the crew, so they have an idea. Maybe there's something here that you want to go pick out and try. So this first one is Duchess Petite Barrel Aged Sour Ale. The interesting thing here is a lot of these there's some barrel aged beers in here, and then I got a lot of IPAs. I got some Imperial IPAs. So we're running the gamut as far as ABVs. This is probably not quite as strong being a sour ale, even though it's barrel aged. In fact, it says it's 4.5%. So indeed, but we're starting it out easy with a sour ale.
I like it. It looks good to me. I like sours. I've been kind of kicking on those a little bit lately.
I do too. I don't feel like they're drinkers for me, as in I'm going to put in a session with them. But I do like the taste of one on occasion. So let's try this one. It's a darker as you can tell. Barrel aged. That's not surprising. Oh, that's good.
Good.
That's a winner. Good. Yeah, for sure. It's not super sour. That one's pretty drinkable. It almost tastes like a dry cider. It's interesting.
What was the name of that? It was Petite, but by who? Who was that?
Duchess. Barrel aged sour.
Who are they from?
Well, I think Duchess is the name of the brewery.
Okay. Where's that?
No. Let's see. Okay, this is what I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to give you the description here. It says Duchess Petite, so that is the name, is an authentic Flemish red ale, brewed and bottled in Belgium. This refined ale, also known as the Burgundies of Belgium, is a blend of beer matured in different oak casks for many months, 100% natural. It says it is brewed and bottled by, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, Brewerij Verachi. I mean, I'll try to hold it real close. That's the name right there. Brewerij Verachi.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but it's very good. What do you got?
Okay. I really like this name to start off with, but it's Excelsior. It's like a flying giraffe in outer space. Excelsior by Schilling Cider House. It's got a long-winded little text on here. It's going to be a cider. It's a hard cider. It's 9.1%. I got 2 6-packs of this stuff. So I'm going to be feeling really, really nice if I clear these guys out by the time we're done here.
How strong? Yeah. How strong is it?
9.1.
Wow. That seems extremely high for a cider.
Yeah, it's an imperial mango cider. It's gonna be good. I did get a new cup. I got a new cup for Christmas.
Very nice.
Go. Yeah, go Pat, go.
Love it. So, go ahead and do your pour while you're doing that. Very light. We're probably going to break this into, we are going to break this up, no doubt about it. Probably be released in 3 segments over the next few weeks. So we'll probably group it by 10s, do 30 through 21, then 20 through 11, and then the top 10. It's going to be really good stuff. All right, let's hear it.
God, it smells good. Wow. That is really tart. Really, really tart. And I love it. It's really flavorful of mango. Really tart. I might have to cut. I might have to do like one of these and then a Coors Light and then another one of these and a Coors Light.
Is that really good? Is that your other? You got Coors Light as well over there?
Oh, I always have Coors Light. The garage fridge always has Coors Light.
Okay, so you got a 6-pack of this mango cider and then some Coors Light in there. Yeah.
No, two 6-packs of the mango cider.
Oh, you got so you got 12 of those suckers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, baby.
Okay. Well, so I was saying this one kind of tastes like a cider, but it's not tart. This is a drinker. Like you could have several of these and not need to separate it. I think it's interesting. I didn't get more than one of them. I just got one, but
the nice thing about these, especially with that high of an alcohol content, is it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, without further ado, We're going to be here at least 3 hours. Let's not kid ourselves. But let's jump into Mr. 30. I think this is a fitting guy, too, for this year. Didn't Super Mario Brothers come out this year? Or was that last year?
No, I think it was this year.
We got to call this guy Bowser, right? It's got to be Bowser.
Colton Bowser.
Our first one is Colton Cowser. Colton Cowser is 6'2", 220 pounds. He's a 23-year-old with the Baltimore Orioles. He was drafted in round 1, pick 5 overall out of college Sam Houston. He did debut last year. But let's talk about his minor league numbers here. He had, in 2023, 323 at-bats at the AAA affiliate. His average was 300, on-base percentage of 417, and slugged 520 with an on-base plus slugging of 937. He had 9 stolen bases, was caught 3 times, 17 home runs. He struck out 107 times and walked 64 times. I'm a touch baffled why Colton Cowser is at number 30. I think he should be much higher. I'm a pretty big fan of Cowser. How's your feelings on this one?
Okay, so we talked about Cowser last year, and he was ranked considerably higher, which is probably a surprise to a lot of people, considering he made his pro debut this year, and his numbers on the surface are certainly better this year than they were last year. So let's dig into it a little bit, and I'll do my best to try to explain why I think he is dropped on STS, and I guess what I think my outlook on him is, because I was a little suspect to Cowser, I think, last year. He's very, very high-end prospect, clearly. Highly drafted kid out of Sam Houston. And he was pretty hot out of the gate this year and earned himself a major league call-up, and he struggled in the major leagues. Yeah. So he struggled in the major leagues, and I want to try to get the splits on his minor time if I can, just because I haven't looked that up yet. But I think it looks like his minor league numbers also came down. So was he sent back down, do you know?
I thought he was called up at the end of the year and was with the ball club into the playoffs.
Well, let's see what we can find out about that. Because his numbers were lower than I remember them being, and it might have just been because he was so hot out of the gate. But I think that, coupled with his major league debut, which wasn't that strong, is what has knocked him down so much, because in the old model, we only looked at minor league stats. In this new model, we also include their major league performances up until they lose eligibility. So I've got his splits up here, and indeed, he was really hot in the first half of the season, like blazing hot. And then in July, he only hit 125. So really struggled in July. And August and September never really recovered. So it's possible that we're looking at some kind of nagging injury sort of situation, just because it's so stark, his first half and his second half. Very clear. And, I'm not sure, at this point, I'm not sure which Cowser we're going to get, because that first half Cowser was so good and would clearly be ranked much higher in these rankings here. As it is, he comes in at number 30 on the low end of our ranking list, but he does make it, so that's notable. I think he's got a pretty bright future. The strikeouts are something that are a cause of concern and something to keep an eye on. In 2022, they were pretty bad. He really did a good job cutting those numbers down this year, so that's a promising step forward. And he's already made his major league debut, so that's saying something.
And on a ball club that I'm really excited about. The Orioles have a fantastic future. If they can keep all these guys together, it's going to be something to behold, and Cowser is going to be a part of that.
Yep. So overall, I'd agree with you that he's low here. Yeah. He's low, but I also think the market might slightly overvalue Cowser, and I think if there's something you can take away from that, it's probably that. So if you're looking to upgrade prospects, this could be one of those guys that you look at shifting for somebody that our model likes a little bit more, that also has the pedigree, because Cowser is very well respected out there.
So that's not a go get him. He's almost a sell for you.
I think I'm not going to call him a sell. I think that would undersell what I think his capabilities are. But I am going to say, like, he is a sell opportunity. He is somebody that if I owned him, I don't know if I would actively be trying to sell him, but if I could see that perspective where it's like, I think I could get someone like who's a good example? Like a Colt Emerson for a Colton Cowser. I might be willing to do that kind of an exchange. So
okay.
Just depends. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about. I don't want to say go get him, but I'd like him a lot. I think it's team dependent. This is a team dependent situation. If you really want an outfielder, I think you go get him. Or if you really need an outfield, you go get him. But if you have a few guys ahead of him, I don't think he's upgrading a good outfield situation. If that makes any sense. I think he's an everyday, really good MLB player. I don't think he's an all-star.
Yeah.
So with that, I don't think he's a go get him. That's odd to say to me, though. I really like Cowser.
Yeah, I mean, his projections are still pretty solid. Slash line projection is 241, 344, 371. Less power than I think you'd like to see from Cowser in his projections. And that strikeout rate, he projects for 26% K percent, which is high. That's what I was saying. You want to keep an eye on. Nonetheless, he is in the top 100 for hitting prospects, and he garners a comp that's pretty good to JT Realmuto.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. Not bad.
That's kind of interesting. He doesn't have much speed. Realmuto, I guess he's got 34 stolen bases in his career. So, I mean, he's not slow by any means. But yeah, okay, cool. That's number 30. We're moving on. We're moving on to number 29. Mr. Number 29 is going to rhyme with Cowser. It's going to be Kyle Stowers. I guess that doesn't rhyme, but it's pretty close. He's with the Baltimore Orioles. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. He is 25 years old. He was drafted pick 71 overall out of college Stanford. He did debut last year and the year before, I believe he debuted as well. But last year, he sat in 3 different places. There was an injury here because he played for the rookie level and then high A, and then wound up in Triple A. So he had 233 at-bats at Triple A, 18 in high A, and 5 or 7 in the rookie level. But at Triple A, let's just break those ones down because those are going to be a little bit more meaningful. He had 233 at-bats. Averaged 245, on base percentage of 364, slugged 511, on base plus slugging 875, 17 home runs, 3 stolen bases, strikeouts 76, walks 40, a little touch high on the strikeouts. What do you think about Kyle Stowers?
So this is such an interesting guy to follow up Cowser with because we've got another Oriole to begin with, and then we've got 2 guys that are potentially vying for a position on the Orioles squad. I mean, Stowers, the strikeouts to me are not super concerning. Probably a little less than they are with Cowser, but they're kind of in that same. Well, actually, now that I'm looking at the projections, they do project him a little bit higher for strikeouts. So maybe I'm seeing something a little bit different. He's got interesting power. He's a little bit older. I think between these 2 guys, you want to give Cowser the edge. For who's going to land that spot. One thing that's kind of boosting up Stowers' overall line is a couple rehab stints, rookie level and high A, where he just totally mashed.
Yeah.
So you mentioned his 875 OPS at AAA. On the season overall, it was 954 with a 566 slugging percentage. So he really just mashed at those low levels in his small stints there. I think that's helping carry his ranking a little bit here. So I would give the edge to Cowser between these guys, but STS has him an inch above.
Yeah. I would imagine he was just seeing some donuts down in the lower levels and just piss pounding them.
Just mashing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not a Stowers fan. I think he's going to be a fourth outfielder unless he gets traded from the Orioles. He's not breaking it out over Mullins, Cowser, and who's the Orioles got a plethora of talent in the outfield, and I can't. My brain's not working very well right now. But I don't think
they got people coming up that will be vying for time too, or that have debuted as well, like Kierstad, Kobe Mayo. Maybe we'll see some time out there as well. I mean,
Mountcastle. Just a
lot. Possibly Mountcastle. There's just a lot of guys out there that they're going to be competing with. What else can I touch on? He does have legitimate power that I think is a touch above what we see from Cowser. He's almost 26 years old, though. 3 days from now will be his birthday, and he'll be 26.
Yeah.
So,
in my mind, this is a trade candidate for the Orioles. In real life, I would imagine they can probably go get something a little bit different than an outfielder. They could use some help in the pitching aspect, but that's real life stuff. Which, I mean, obviously it counteracts with our fantasy lives. But I'm not a Stowers guy. I'm not buying or selling here. If I own him, I'd probably hang on to him, but I'm not going to get him.
I'd agree with that. I don't think he's a go get him necessarily. I don't know if I see him getting consistent playing time in that squad. A trade maybe opens up some opportunity for him, but even so, I think he's kind of fringe. So
Yep. Yeah, I like to say, I'm really good at finding everyday MLBers. Ross is really good at finding the superstars. And I don't see Stowers as being an everyday MLBer. It's just one of those things. I don't know. I'm not on board.
Yeah.
But I love you, Kyle Stowers. Love you, man.
Prove us wrong. I'd love that. I would love to be proven wrong.
Absolutely. All righty. We are moving on to 28. And we have Mr. Jhonkensy Noel. Did I say that right?
Jhonkensy Noel. Yeah, that's right.
It
is a tricky one. Another guy that we talked about last year. Yeah.
Love him. Yeah, we're big fans here. I am at least. But huge individual. He's 6'3", 250 pounds. He's age 22. He's out of the Dominican Republic. I think I just want to break down this year's stuff. Overall, I guess. Let me do overall here real quick. He's got 1,665 at bats in the minors. His average is 252, on base 331, slugged 476, 94 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 454 strikeouts, 158 walks. This year, though, he had 519 at bats, batted 220, on base of 303, slugged 420, on base plus slugging at 723, 27 home runs, 1 stolen base, got caught 3 times, 145 strikeouts, 49 walks, a bunch of doubles, 23 doubles. He's not showing me what I wanted him to be, because I was a big fan when he got drafted. I was like, man, Noel's going to be a star. He's a big individual. it's just, it hasn't come together yet, but I think this is a huge power bat. What do you got here?
So another guy that we talked about last year, and really interesting because he had a huge breakout in 2021 going back, where he hit 340, and then last year he struggled. And even when he was hitting 340, we were highlighting on the STS side, watch out for the plate discipline. And I think the plate discipline got him last year, and he just didn't really show a ton of improvement in that regard. It looks almost identical, to be honest. Same number of walks, 5 less strikeouts than he had in 2022 this year, 49 walks, 145 strikeouts on this season. Still hitting in the low 200s, but you're right, the power is still there. He hit 32 home runs last year, and this year he hit 27. So a little bit less than we saw last year, but again, he's at AAA now. So he's on the precipice of the major leagues, and he's still just 21 years old.
Yep.
So there's some really good aspects to Jhonkensy Noel, the Jonky, but there are some big red flags too. What are those 145 strikeouts going to look like in the major leagues if he's not showing dramatic improvement with his plate discipline? I mean, what are we looking at? A guy that's striking out 200 times, not getting on base very much, but hitting dingers? What is the highest end outcome for that? Like a Joey Gallo type? And I don't think he's the performer that Joey Gallo was coming up either. So the chances of that outcome are even limited. So he's got to improve the plate discipline. But big guy, the power is legitimate. It's real. You can't just hack away looking for home runs though if you want to be a major leaguer. So I think he's got work to do. The good news is he's young enough to where he can still make those kinds of adjustments. So STS likes that power potential. They give him 27 home runs per 600 plate appearances. That's pretty high end. And they give him a comp, let's see how you like this, to Daniel Vogelbach.
Oof, Vogues. God, I hope he's faster than Vogelbach.
Well, they project him for 0 stolen bases, so I don't know.
You messed it up just a tad. You said he was 21. He is 22. He'll be 23 in July. So yeah, he is young. I want to see more. In my mind, I think he's attainable. I mean, really attainable for a very minimal price. And because of that power and my thoughts on him figuring it out and actually putting the bat on the ball, I'm saying go get him because I think it's cheap.
Okay. I can see that. He's a potential power bat that you could add in there. So I guess to clarify, I should have stated he qualified as a 21-year-old for 2023, but you're right. He'll be 22, or he is 22. He'll be 22 this year for most of the season. I don't know if I'm going to say he's a go get him just because I think the pro outcome is looking limited to me right now. I want to see some improvement first. And if I get that, then I'll be all over going after him because there's intrigue here. There's intrigue, and I think you just need to see a little bit of improvement first.
Yeah.
So
I'm behind you on that. The only reason I say go get him is because I think it's very attainable for a very minimal price.
Right.
Yeah. But okay, I love the
we're 3 people. We're 3 in, and I'm on to my second beer.
Oh, I apologize. I already had my second as well. Go ahead.
Another one of those mangoes?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're getting better.
Well, this one's called. I'm going to do another sour, and then I'm switching it up, and I'm doing more IPAs. This one's called Monk's Cafe Flemish Sour Ale. This one's a little bit stronger at 5.5%. Let's see, anything else to note on it? No, I don't think so, but I'm going to go ahead and crack it, and let's move on to the next guy.
Sweet. All right. Number 28. 28? 27.
27.
27. I'm going to mess up the count real bad. I hope. Okay, so very common name. I'm hoping I looked up the right stats on this guy. So it's Hector Rodriguez. And if you guys jump on MILB and look up names, Rodriguez is like Smith. There's a million of them. There was 4 Hector Rodriguez's, so I hope I chose the right one, Ross. But here we go. We got a 5'8", 186-pound, 19-year-old out of the Dominican Republic, Hector Rodriguez. His stats this year look as 2 different affiliates. First, he started in single A and then made it up to high A. Overall in the season, he had 461 at-bats, batted .293 with an on-base with .343, slugged .495, on-base plus slugging .838, 16 home runs, 18 stolen bases, 94 strikeouts, 28 walks, 25 doubles, 10 triples. I think that's an impressive stat, 10 triples. Anytime you get into double digits, that's a pretty big deal. But Hector Rodriguez, what do you got?
So Hector Rodriguez is one of those guys that I was touting this year. In fact, going back to last year even, I had thought Hector Rodriguez looked like he could have some breakout potential, and I think we got that this year. Though it comes with some stipulations. It wasn't like a massive, he's blown out top 100 list sort of breakout. He started out extremely hot, and he did cool down midway through the season. But he did flash some pretty decent power in the low minors at just 19, and he is still 19, so he's a young 19. But pretty good overall numbers. He had really good numbers last year for the Reds as well, and the Mets before he was traded to the Reds. So I would say this is continuation. There's talent here. You can see it. Good bat-to-ball skills. The strikeout rate was a little more elevated this year than I was hoping for. It was much lower last year. But again, he was at the rookie level, single A level. His power did kind of taper off when he was promoted to high A. I don't think that that's alarming at this point.
Nope.
But I think the power is better than people were expecting. And I feel like this guy is one of those guys that sort of has a motor on him. I've heard he's not particularly fast, but he does collect stolen bases at a decent clip. He had 18 last year. So something to note. And mostly, I think he's athletic. It's just he's not, he's only 5'8". He's not a big guy. So not extremely fast, but there could be some sneaky speed in there. Yep. I really like Hector Rodriguez, and I'm going to endorse him as a go get him.
Okay.
I think he's a good guy to target and go after.
Nice. So 19 years old, he will be 20 in March. He just stuffs the scoreboard, man. He does everything really well. Nothing really great yet, but yeah, everything really well. This has got 2020 potential written all over it.
Yep, I see that as well. And he's another really interesting player up and coming for the Cincinnati Reds, which, they're making waves as well. So
God, did you ever think we'd live in a world where the Orioles and the Reds have like the best future on the planet? I didn't.
No. Well, and this, there should be some context. So one of my really good buddies, my roommate in college, his favorite team is the Orioles. My favorite team is the Cincinnati Reds. And we commiserated in how awful our teams were across the board. And granted, the Reds, the Orioles going way back, had some winning teams, but when we were roommates and stuff, no, they were pretty awful. And the Reds had some seasons in there, but I always chalked it up as like, yeah, they look like a great 85 win team, first round exit in the playoffs, and they did that quite a few times. They just were never fully committed to I guess, the process of building a team from within. And I think they're finally there. Fascinating. And the Orioles are doing the same thing. I think the Orioles are probably even a little more advanced. And yeah, never thought I would see the day. It's pretty crazy.
Unbelievable. If the Tigers start winning, like the apocalypse is coming.
Yeah.
Well, hey, got the Tigers.
I gotta make a comment about this beer too before we move on. This one is, so the last one was a barrel aged, and I thought it was going to be a little more heavy flavor, like a dark beer sour, but this one really is, surprisingly.
It looks.
I didn't expect that, but yeah, it tastes more like a sour riff of a porter or something like that.
Nice. Okay, I'd probably drink that. I don't like the dark beers, man. I stay away from them, but I like the sour taste. I really do.
Yeah,
especially in these. This 6-pack's going to go real quick. I'm going to have to go grab the other one. All right. 26. We are at 26 already, and we are sitting with Luis Lara. And Luis Lara is an outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers. He is age 19, 5'7", 155 pounds. He was drafted out of Venezuela last year. I apologize. So he was in the DSL last year, and this year he made it to single A and promoted to high A at 19 years old. Overall on the season, he had 343 at bats. His average was 286, on base 373, slugged 359, on base plus slugging 732. He had 2 home runs, 13 doubles, 61 strikeouts, 44 walks. The big calling card here is the speed. He had 30 stolen bases, but he did get caught 10 times, 9 times in single A and only once in high A. I'm interested here. I own Lara in a few leagues, and I'm excited here. He's very young. He won't be 20 until November of next year. What do you think, Ross? Tell me that we can buy here. Convince me.
This is a profile I kind of go back and forth on.
Yeah.
He does have pretty strong. Okay, so let me reframe this and start with the positives. He is young. He played this year at 18, and he was in single A and high A. That's a pretty advanced assignment. Yeah. Pretty good stuff there. And he was a hitter. Hit for decent average. It wasn't, incredible, but it was pretty decent and showed really good plate discipline. That plays up when you're that young. So I would say overall he showed really good hitting skills. The speed, I think, is a little misleading. I don't think that there's a ton of it, but I think that there's some of it. And kind of like Hector Rodriguez, he'll snag a few there, here and there. The power is the big question mark. And if there's more power to be had, then possibly the possible outcome here is a Jose Altuve type with a little stronger bat or a little better luck or a little bit of both, plus a little bit of power development. We could see a Jose Altuve type of guy. The stolen bases probably are never going to reach the heights that Altuve has reached. I don't think, but that's the high end outcome. Otherwise, you have to ask the question. You might get a decent bat, but is there going to be enough there to make him relevant? Fantasy relevant. Is there going to be enough power? Is there going to be enough stolen bases? Those are the things that you have to worry about. Yep. So I'm not sure if we're going to get that or not. I'm going to say it's worth, at this point, it's probably worth rostering him to see, depending on your league depth. I mean, there's probably in smaller leagues, there's probably going to be other guys that you want to snag above him, but in deeper leagues, he's worth taking a flyer on to see how he develops. But this is a development player, no doubt about it. Don't be mistaken.
He's very interesting to me. The thing that drives me absolutely bonkers, and this does with a lot of guys that have high stolen bases. We don't know if they're quick. We don't know if they're fast. They get caught stealing a lot. And that's just really, really weird to me, especially in the DSL. He had 7 stolen bases, but he was caught stealing 7 times.
Yeah.
That's bizarre to me. I think if you're a fast guy in the DSL, man, you're stealing bags like no other.
Right.
So getting caught that is very concerning to me. I like Lara. There's something about this profile. He's very small. He's very young. The Brewers must love him. I mean, why are you promoting a guy like this?
Yeah.
All the way up into high A. So there's got to be something there. I'm very intrigued. He's not a go get him, but like you said, he's very rosterable. You'd love to have this guy on your roster, but I don't think you go out and actively pursue him unless he's just sitting around.
So one other thing to note is he does have some helium. He's got his fans. There are people out there in the industry people that are really high on Lara. So if your league has one of those types that is bought into that, then he's going to be harder to get than you might expect too. So I'm kind of on board with you. I think if he's available and you can get him and you don't have anyone better to fill that spot with, then I think he's a good development play. But you have to wait and see, right? Like we're not doing this based on what we know he's capable of. We're doing this based on what he could be capable of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. So caution. We got a lot of caution on Lara. All right, we're on to the next one, and here we are. This is not somebody that I'm a giant fan of, but we're going to talk about him anyways. Once again, it's probably my Yankees hate. I hate the Yankees, but here we go. Jace Avina. Jace Avina is with the High A affiliate with the New York Yankees. He is 5'11", 180 pounds. He's 20 years old. He was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers in round 14, picked 417 overall out of Spanish Springs Sparks, Nevada High School. Jace Avina's numbers this year looks as 326 at bats. He batted .233. On base, 373, slugged 442, on base plus slugging 815, 14 home runs, 10 stolen bases, 118 strikeouts, 56 walks, 22 doubles. I'm not here. I was actually kind of a fan of Avina when he was with the Brewers, but nothing popped out to me this year. There's something about this profile that I'm just not in love with. Low average, high strikeouts. He does have good on base percentage. I'm not in love here. Matter of fact, I think I'm walking away. So you can go ahead and try to convince everybody else.
Okay, and I will. I will play devil's advocate on this one. So I didn't even know that he went to the Yankees. I must have missed that trade. There must have been some kind of deal that sent him there this offseason because he was with the Brewers all of last season. So That's interesting, and that's a notable development, I guess. But I thought we were talking about a Brewer here for a minute. I'm gonna try to make the counter argument. So Avina is somebody that we talked about on Bats and Stats last year. Yep. And you and I both agreed that we saw a lot of risk here. We weren't buying into it. And we said, wait and see. Like, we need more. We need to see more before we're excited about it. Now, his numbers this year were worse than last year. But I'm going to say that I've seen enough now to this point to where I'm buying into it. And here's the reasons why. Because early on in the season, it played out almost exactly like you and I expected it to. And he was struggling really bad. And we were, validation for what we had presumed. The strikeouts are way too high. Don't think he's going to hit for the average to be able to maintain it. But his season dramatically changed in the second half. So he's a second half dude. And the next thing I knew, all of a sudden he was rising up leaderboards. And he's done it under the radar. Everybody they forgot about it. So first half started and they just dropped it completely. The only people that were ever talking about him to begin with was you and I, as far as I'm aware. And then he pretty much just fell off the map completely. But his second half has been sneaky and very legit. So let me quote some stats. He was awful in the first half. So starting in July, he hit 297. I'm just going to say his slash line. Actually, no, I'm going to just say his OPSs. July OPS of 951. An August OPS of 1,095.
Jeez.
And a September OPS of 1,063. And in August and September specifically, he seems to have cut down his strikeout rate pretty significantly, and increased his walk rate those months pretty significantly as well. Still hitting for power, the power that he's always shown. So from my perspective, I think this guy is a huge buy opportunity. I think he's under the radar in deep leagues. I'm speaking about deep leagues specifically here. But I think this guy is a really sneaky ad. I think he's somebody that I would want to target in deep leagues to try to make a play for somebody that's a riser. I see a riser right here.
Okay, well, I love the OPSs that you brought into play there. Those 2 months at the end of the year, he was hot. I mean, sexy hot.
Yep. And get this. STS has him projected for 31 home runs per 600 plate appearances. So we did get some validation of him as the power hitter last year while showing progress with his plate discipline, which we said was the big red flag. So we're seeing it. We're seeing little glimpses of it anyway. Remains to be seen if that keeps up as he moves up, but there was clearly some kind of an adjustment that he made. So I'm all aboard. I'm all aboard the Jace Avina train.
All right. The trade was Jake Bauers to Milwaukee Brewers for Jace Avina and Brian Sanchez. Brian Sanchez is a left fielder.
That's a great deal for the Yankees.
Happened in November 17th. I do not recall that trade, but yeah, I remember Bauers playing for the Yankees. I do not recall that trade though.
Huh.
Yeah. All right. Well, there it is. Ross convinced you guys, but he didn't convince me. I'm not buying. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Nelson Rada. Nelson Rada is with the Single A affiliate with the Angels. He's 5'10", 160 pounds. He is only 18 years old, won't be 19 until August. And Nelson Rada has already debuted at the Single A affiliate. He had 439 at bats this year, batted .276, on base .395, slugged .346, on base plus slugging .741, 55 stolen bases. He did get caught 11 times, 2 home runs, 98 strikeouts, 73 walks, had 13 doubles and 6 triples. I love Nelson Rada. I hope you're on the same page as I am, because I think Nelson Rada has star written all over him.
I agree with you. Nelson Rada is a go-get-em in my book. He qualified 2023 as a 17-year-old playing in Single A. That's really advanced. Pretty good numbers across the board. The thing he didn't have, and really good speed, obviously, you mentioned that, and really good plate discipline. The thing he didn't have is a lot of power, but we're talking about a 17-year-old at Single A, so very advanced assignment, and I am hopeful that that's something that can grow over time, and if so, you have a star. I don't know any other way to put it. STS isn't, projecting for him to grow in power because that's not how the system is designed, but it is seeing the plate discipline. It is seeing the speed. I think this guy's go get him. Go get him, because he's not ranked highly enough for where I think his future value is going to be. I'm all for it.
You like to say helium. I like to say a rocket ship to the moon. Nelson Rada, there's something about this profile that just screams at you have to go get this guy. And I think he's starting to get buzz, right? Like there's buzz starting around Rada.
Yeah, but it's not enough. I mean, he's maybe a top 100 guy, maybe most places. I don't know. I'd have to refresh my ranking or my rankings knowledge of different lists. Do you know? Is he like top 100 Baseball America?
I don't think on America, and I don't think on MLB. His name's just popping up a lot more. And then I do a lot of mock drafts. Funny enough, randomly, we do these just mock drafts. And Rada's name, when he gets picked, it seems like there's a lot of voices around saying, "Man, that's a good pick with Rada."
Yeah, he's a talent. He's one of the few players on the STS model that projects for a higher walk rate than strikeout rate. So that in itself is extremely promising. So even without not a lot of power development, which I think can happen, I mean, you could easily see a Carl Crawford type with plate discipline, right? So something a little bit more than a Carl Crawford type. And if he develops a little bit more power, then what are you looking at? Maybe that outcome is pretty scary for what it could be. Mookie Betts comes to mind. That could be a Mookie Betts right there.
Let's calm down. Let's calm down a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm over here saying this a lot. When Mookie Betts was young and coming up, I think when he was his age, he had hit 2 career. I don't know. He might have had 0 career home runs by that.
I remember that. Yeah, the power did not show up till later.
Okay, so when Mookie Betts was 19, he was in low A, and he had 0 career home runs. So we're talking about Nelson Rada at 17 in single A. Demonstrating a lot of the same capabilities, but a little bit more power. There's something really exciting there. And this really has me thinking 2024 could be a really big year for Nelson Rada, for sure.
I was just going to say,
be a really big year.
Be prepared for Nelson Rada to be top 50 prospects by the end of 2024.
Oh, easily. If not higher.
Yeah.
If not higher. In my book, I think I already have him ranked in the top 50. So, I
think he's top. I think he's top 30.
Top 30, maybe even higher. I mean, the ceiling here is a top 10 prospect, in my opinion.
Yep.
So
I don't think he's going to shoot up that high in 2024. I would love it, but I think it's a no doubt 2024. By the end of the season, he'll be a top 50 prospect. And if you want to buy him, you buy him now.
Now's the time to get him. We're on the same page. Nelson Rada, go get him.
Go get him. Love it. All right, our next one. Okay, this is a fun one, and I think we're both going to have a lot to say here, and I think we're both going to say the exact same thing. This next prospect is Jace DeLauter. Jace DeLauter is 6'4", 235 pounds. He's 22 years old. He was drafted by the Cleveland Guardians in round 1, picked 16 overall. College James Madison. This year, he had 3 different affiliates, rookie level, high A, and double A. I'm going to lump them all together. He had 214 at bats, 355 average, on base 417, slugged 528, on base plus slugging 945, 5 home runs, 6 stolen bases, 22 doubles, 30 strikeouts, 23 walks. I think I'm going to come out and I'm just going to say what we're both thinking. when he's healthy, he's a top 10 prospect. He's going to be a freaking monster if he's not hurt. I think that foot is a problem because it's been broke twice. If I'm recalling that correctly, he broke his foot twice, which is not a good sign. God, Ross, I'm telling you, if he stays healthy, he's a top 10 prospect.
Boy, that's some very bold statements from you, and I'm not totally off. I'm not on a different page with you. I don't think either. He's a hitting machine. There's no doubt about it. We talked about Nolan Shanuel the other day, and there's some similarities from his college days with Shanuel. So we're seeing something kind of like that, and he's clearly, you're right, when healthy, he's a hitter. He sprays the ball all over the field. He's got some pretty good power. He's got some speed. He does have some helium surrounding him.
Yeah.
But he's somebody I would be interested, definitely to go get him. But the price might be where the sticking point is. I don't think he's billed so highly that he's going to be totally unaffordable. So that's why I think he's somebody you want to target for sure.
Do you have his James Madison stats in front of you?
I do.
Was he a monster in college?
He was, yeah. I mean, that's where the Shanuel sort of comp was coming from. Because, I mean, smaller school at James Madison. I'll give you the rundown of his career numbers and then his final season, because they're both very nice. His slash overall for his career was a .402 batting average, .520 on-base percentage, and a .715 slugging percentage. Not huge home run totals or anything like that. We're looking at, looks like his first couple of years he had 7 home runs, and then he finished his third season with 8. So not huge numbers there, not huge stolen base numbers, but they're all serviceable, And his final season, he slashed .437, .576, .828. So 1404 OPS, more walks than strikeouts, everything that you want. I mean, all the boxes are checked. He's kind of doing the same thing in the minor leagues so far too. So
yeah. One thing that I think I forget about is he missed all of 2022 and then only had 214 at bats in 2023. He's much bigger than I thought he was. He's 6'4", 235.
It's huge.
He's a big dude.
Right.
Man,
the thing that's intriguing to me here is that, there was a time when Juan Soto was also considered an injury risk. And he's been a pretty full-time player as a major leaguer after debuting at 19, So I don't know, maybe it was just an injury and, he's ready to go now. Maybe he's finally got it rehabbed. I don't know. I'm not a lot to put a stock into concerns of whether a player is going to have injury issues or not. Sometimes that gets me in trouble, but I think it's pretty unpredictable.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is Eloy Jimenez. He was pretty healthy until all of a sudden he went into the major leagues. So then he became an injury concern there. So
I think that's completely different than DeLauter. Right now we're dealing with a broken foot. The injuries that concern me and, for lack of a better word, piss me off are the soft tissue muscle injuries. When you have a constant hamstring, a constant calf, triceps, obliques, stuff like that. Those are just massively frustrating because they can be avoided. You get a better strength and conditioning coach. You start stretching those muscles, working those muscles in a different way so you don't get those pulls, those strains. Broken legs, broken foot, torn ACLs, those are unavoidable. You can't do anything about those. Those just happen. Those are unlucky. The soft tissue stuff, man, with Eloy, that just drives me nuts.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, anyway, my endorsement is go get him. Chase DeLauter is the guy you want.
Yeah, and
That's
this
my
is.
assessment. And I'm probably going to have to whip up some trades after this. After we get off here.
Are we on 25?
We just DeLauter, if we're done with him, was number 23, so we're moving on to number 22.
He's much too low for me. He's top 10 best baseball prospects on the planet, in my opinion. Okay. We're gonna go on a different journey on this next one. A journey that's very frustrating for me in particular. We're gonna jump into George Valera. George Valera is with the Cleveland Guardians. He is 6 foot tall, 195 pounds. He's 23 years old. He was born in Queens, New York on 11/13 in 2000. This is where I get frustrated. This is massively frustrating to me. Career-wise, he has 1,244 at-bats. He averaged 242, on base of 363, slugged 452, on base plus slugging of 815, with 63 career home runs, 23 stolen bases, got caught stealing 16 times, strikes out 387 times, walked 228, 52 doubles, 10 triples. 2023, 277 at-bats, 220 average, on base 349, 397 slug, on base plus slugging 746, another 11 home runs, 3 stolen bases. This is why I'm going to say that I'm massively frustrated here. Is I've owned Valera since the get-go, the very get-go, because everything was the best pure swing you'll ever see in your life. Like it was just beautiful. And he contacts the ball. The ball pops off his bat. You can hear it from miles away when it hits his bat. He's got all the potential in the world. He's an athletic freak. He can do this. He can do that. Well, you know what he can't do? He can't play baseball very well. All of this stuff, all this smoke, all this everything was how amazing he was at hitting. And he just doesn't hit. And this is the frustrating thing about real life scouts and projections based off of watching somebody play compared to what we do, which is all statistical based. All we care about is stats, right? This is the mold for why I can't stand when someone tells me he's got a beautiful swing. Is a profile like this. And Valera is I'm only kidding when I say he's not very good at baseball. He's amazing at baseball. But for what scouts said compared to what we've seen in 5 years? 2018 to 5 years. 5 years. It's completely, it's not even in the same realm.
So, I want to emphasize something. We're here to be critical. That's what we do. We're like movie critics, but for baseball prospects. So we're not saying that we could do it any better. Sure as hell couldn't. Not even close, No, George Valera is very talented, clearly, but he's not the player that I think we expected him to be. And I would dare say that his stock right now is lower than it was when he was 17. And one of the things that I find endlessly interesting is how people put so much emphasis on prospect upside. I hear it all the time. All the time I hear from people, FYPD is all about upside, or I go with the upside no matter what. And it's, upside is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But, and I've said this many times, what I do is I try to take the guessing out of the game. And if I'm guessing, then I'm probably going to I am playing a losing game. Because I know when I'm best is when I'm not guessing, when I'm actually making informed decisions. And that comes from a lot of statistical analysis across the board. George Valera at 17 was getting a lot of helium and was billed as the next Juan Soto, you know? And he's not that. Is he a good ball player? Yeah, I think he's a pretty good ball player still. And I think even the stats are telling us that. Was 2023 a disappointment? Yes, it was, no doubt. We thought he was going to be in the major leagues this year. So we didn't get that. We were already a little bit disappointed, disillusioned last year because the numbers were not the great Juan Soto numbers. But he's still the same player that he was last year. You know, he's not hitting for very high average. He's getting on base at a pretty good clip. And he's got pretty decent power. So those traits remain. He started the year hurt, so he didn't get a chance to really showcase, I think, his full skill set this year. But still, the numbers are kind of disappointing. So I'm not going to get on. I'm not going to say like he's somebody that you go get necessarily. He could be a buy low candidate, but I think you need to temper your expectations pretty significantly as well. So you're not going to get Juan Soto out of him. It's just not going to happen.
No.
So,
and I apologize for going off right there, but there was some deep roots there. I turned down some huge trade offers 3 years ago for Valera because the helium in him. He was on a rocket ship to the moon, and I turned down everything because I thought he was going to be the greatest thing since Juan Soto. 19 years old, he's going to be in the bigs. And
yeah, you bought in.
I bought in. Yeah, I bought in.
And here are the risks. I mean, these are the risks with playing this game. If you're going to be going for just upside, you're just relying on some other person's word or evaluation or what they think is aesthetically pleasing, which can be misleading. People have biases. You know, that's just the way it goes. So,
and for a long time, I was a big proponent for taking guys that were two sport athletes. You know, they played football in college. They played basketball in college. They played multiple things because I thought that was the way to find athletic guys, freaks of nature that can build on, like Tim Anderson's of the world. Tim Anderson played at Florida State football. Those were my kind of guys. I will tell you right now, I lost a lot of seasons because of that train of thought, because I was searching for upside. I was always trying to find that diamond in the rough that was a freak athlete that at any moment could turn it on. Luis Robert. Or it's Robert. I always said Robert, and apparently it's Louis Robert. Don't try to spruce it up there. So back to your point of this.
It seems like you might have been right about Robert. So he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. So is Tim Anderson.
He used to be. I don't know. He used to be pretty easy.
Yeah, I don't think he ever hit a home run last year, which was really weird.
No.
But anyways, but what I'm trying to get at is sometimes, especially in this realm of what we are talking about, of what we are doing, is trust the stats. Just trust the stats. You don't need to hear the outside noise of, man, this guy swings his bat 116 miles an hour, and when the ball hits it, it goes 140. We don't care.
I would take that even a step further. And I'm going to say something that might be kind of a controversial statement in general, but trust the science. I mean, the data science in this sense, but I would say trust the data science, because there is a little bit more than just the numbers, right? But there's things that the numbers tell us. You just need to know how to properly extrapolate the proper information from them. Like, here's an example, and this is something we can say about George Valera. Perhaps he's a little unlucky. You know, he's got low BABIPs, which would suggest that maybe he wasn't impacting the ball the same this year because of the injury, or it could have just been bad luck. But when you have a statistical model like we've built at STS, it does make adjustments, common sense adjustments. It's not going like full bore and saying like, this is 100% luck or something like that, or anything to that nature, or this is 100% bad luck, I should say. But it's making adjustments based on that information, things that we know about the game. So the data science is really where I would focus, and it is at the end of the day, it's focusing on the numbers, right? But it's not always just the surface stats. And sometimes we get that billing, like we all we do is look at surface stats. It's like, yeah, there's science to it, there's data science behind it. So anyway, trust the data science.
So with your BABIP stuff, I don't want to get too far off track, but I just want to throw this little poke in there on your BABIPs. When you have multiple years of bad BABIPs, sometimes luck is a skill.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, one of these profound articles that I read was BABIP is a skill. That was the title of the article. And
I need to read it because I think I would love that article.
It's true. I think that there's a lot of truth to that within certain boundaries, though, because we also know other, flip sides to that. Okay, here's a really good example. Now we're getting way off track, so I'll be quick about this. We can rein it back in. Nolan Jones, he's on the hype machine, and people are jumping all over him. They're saying he's going to have a huge 2024. You might be one of them. And I don't want to rain on the parade, but he had a BABIP above 400 last year. And he's always run high BABIPs, so it's reasonable to assume he's a guy that runs higher BABIPs than the average sort of player. He strikes out a lot, and so he's got other things that limit his ability to hit as well as he did last year, and he did great as a pro. He had a really good season. But you're not going to be hitting 405 for a career. Nobody does that. Tony Gwynn didn't do that. Nobody does. So you can put some boundaries on that. And I said, you got to lop 60 points off that batting average from last year, right off the top. And then he's a 240 hitter. And does he look as attractive as a 240 hitter, 230, 240 hitter? Then he does as a 300 hitter that's putting up these nice counting stats? No, probably not. So, I don't know. Both of those work together, right? Anyway. Back on track.
If you ever want to ask me a question about a ball player, ask yourself two things first. Does he play for the Rockies? No, I don't like him. Number two, does he play for the Tigers? Yes, I love him.
All right, before we go on to our next guy, I'm on beer 3 now.
Oh, nice.
This is the cold standard. Stay chill and drink cold. It's an IPA. Hard to see because it's white. Anyway, moving on. We got a long ways to go.
That's a different. That's a flip flop in taste, there, pal.
Oh well, now I'm down to just IPAs. So they're all IPAs from here.
All right, here we go. Our next one, and go ahead. Everybody do it. Everybody go like this. Pat yourself on the back. You know why we pat ourselves on the back? Because we discovered Jakob Marsee. Nobody was talking about Jakob Marsee. And you know who did? Me and Ross sat here right in front of all of you and said Jakob Marsee is a superstar. And here he is. Let's break down Jakob Marsee's stats. He is 6 foot tall, 180 pounds. He is 22 years old. He was drafted round 6, pick 180 out of Central Michigan in 2022. Jakob Marsee's, I'll break down his career first, and then we'll jump into 2023. So his career, 556 at-bats, batted .268, on base, .416, slugged .424, on base plus slugging, .840, 18 home runs, 61 stolen bases, 23 doubles, strikeouts 122, walks 128. Come on, Ross. Do it. Just real quick. Get it up there. Pat yourself on the back. There you go.
Hey,
there you go.
if we were in person, I would pat you on the back because you were the one that brought him to my attention. I remember we were having that discussion. We brought him up on one of the Bats and Stats podcasts last year, and as I was looking through his numbers, because I was familiar with the name, but
so there was two.
I remember as we were talking about it, I was like, dang, I've got to go make a trade offer or something right now. You know, like I really became infatuated with the profile as we were talking about it. I was like, there's something here. This is pretty intriguing, you know? So yeah, and he improved throughout all of last season too. And I want to point that out. So the stellar improvement in his plate discipline. Well, I mean, it wasn't even an improvement. He had that his entire career. Yep. But he had stellar plate discipline, hitting some home runs. It's not an over exorbitant enough, but it's power that will play in the major leagues, and stealing a ton of bases. He was promoted as a reward to Double-A. This was as a 22-year-old. Yeah, and I mean, just did better. He hit better there.
Yeah.
And then in the AFL this year, we didn't even talk about the AFL. This was well before that. He slugged 707, hit 391, continuing with the excellent plate discipline, power, speed, everything you want. I think he's a go-get-him. He's still just 22. What do you want to say? I mean, maybe a cup of coffee next season at 22, 23. He'll be on the precipice of 23 probably. So go get him.
Go.
No, he'll be 23 by the time that would roll around for sure. But I say go get him.
Yeah, I would love to drop the F-bomb right here, but go effing get him. Man, Jakob Marsee. So there was two guys that I brought up on that podcast. There was a Marion Boyd and there was Jakob Marsee. And I asked, because I was infatuated with a Marion Boyd. But then as we started looking at both of them, we both it was like lights turned on. Jakob Marsee is a stud, is a freaking stud. Even his college stats were insane. Does he have a comp on STS?
Let's check it out. He does. And this is not a great comp. I don't love this comp. Peter Borjos. You remember him?
It rings a bell. Was he an Oriole?
He was an Angel. I think he might have also played for the Orioles. He bounced around a little bit. He was a bit of a journeyman.
I remember the name. Boujores or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he played for the Orioles. He played for the Cardinals, the Phillies, the Rays, the Braves. He was a bit of a journeyman later on. Yeah. But he was an interesting prospect, and this is actually such an appropriate comp because he was a little bit about the same age as Marsee was. He was playing at around the same level. A little less power than Marsee had, but he stole a lot of bases. And then when he came up as a pro, it was kind of similar. Like he had decent power. What didn't carry through is his plate discipline. And I think that's the difference maker for Marsee, is that he's got that plate discipline to help carry through to the major leagues. Higher OBP numbers. I think we're looking at a successful pro that could put up some kind of similar counting stats as Borjos did in larger samples. So that's promising to me. That's 15-20 potential there, 15-25 potential maybe.
15-30.
So 15-30 possibly.
With what the stolen bases are doing right now in the MLB, I see 30 bases, no problem.
So FPS projects him for 15 and 23. That's pretty good.
It's awesome.
I'm intrigued here. I like it. I say he's a go get him.
And I don't know him from Adam, right? But I think he's going to be a fan favorite. I think everybody's going to fall in love with Jakob Marsee.
Yeah. Okay, so I can see that.
Just one of those things.
I do have him
got a
ranked
good
in my
head on him.
personal. I have him ranked in my personal top 100 as number 91, I think.
Yeah, I think he might have cracked 80 on mine, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Jakob Marsee, so go get him.
go get him.
That shouldn't cost you much at all, and the rate on return on that is insane. All right, we're jumping into our next one.
We're all about ROI, baby. We're all about ROI. Let's go get it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, here we go. We got our next one, and our next one is going to be Christopher Familia. Christopher Familia was born 6/10/2000 in the Dominican Republic. I think there's got to be some interesting stories, a few interesting stories here. He is 23 years old, spent 2 years in the DSL, got promoted in 2022, came stateside. That could have been, a certificate issue. 2023, he got promoted to A and then high A, but his overall stats this year were 269 at bat, or 261 at bats, 307 average, on base 378, slug 617, on base plus slugging 995 with 22 home runs and 0 stolen bases. So no speed to speak of. 11 doubles, 61 strikeouts, 25 walks. I'll be completely honest with you guys on this one. This is a complete unknown for me. I don't know anything about Christopher Familia. This would be, since I built my screenshots and stuff this morning, this would be the second time I've even spoken his name.
So for me, well, let me first talk about what STS sees. STS sees somebody that has a lot of power, who actually has done his damage with a fair amount of bad luck. So that's pretty good considering the stat line this year was pretty sparkling despite that. So what sticks out to me, however, is that he's 23 years old. He's playing in the low minors. His plate discipline isn't all that grand. I'm not buying it. I'm going to say that this is somebody that I'm walking away from, to take a phrase from you. Christopher Familia is somebody for other people to draft, for other people to own, and not for me.
I don't have anything else to add on top of that. I agree with you. I just, maybe it's a lack of, or not a lack, maybe it's ignorance on my part of just not knowing who this character is. I'm passing. I don't see it in the stats. I'd let somebody else feast on this one.
Yep. So walking away, but I will say maybe next year goes a long ways into showing us what he's capable of doing.
For sure. All right. Our next homeboy here is going to be Mr. Andy Pages. Me and Ross have talked about Andy Pages for quite some time. We're pretty big fans. We were down on him last year, but he had a pretty sparkling good year this year. The power's always been there. Andy Pages, 6'1", 212 pounds. He's 23 years old. He was born in Cuba, December 8th. Let's see. I'd like to speak on what we saw last year in 2022, because we were both down pretty hard here. He had 487 at bats, 236 average, 336 on base, 468 slug, 26 home runs. We weren't blown away because we were expecting so much coming off of 2021, where he had 31 home runs and the 265 average. But he did bounce back this year, other than one little category. And that's probably because of an injury. But he had 112 at bats this year, 277 average, 425 on base, slugged 482, on base plus slugging of 907. He only had 3 home runs this year, but it was only 112 at bats. Strikeouts 34, walks 26. He built something to really take on there, because he was striking out a little bit too much years prior, and I think he kind of figured something out there. He did have 7 stolen bases. Everything that I've said there, Ross, do you kind of concur with? We were
injury plagued. Yeah, injury plagued season, so it's hard to pull too much more. But he did show dramatic improvement with his plate discipline.
Yep.
So that's promising. I don't know what to make of it because it's too small of a sample for this year. But he's on the precipice of the major leagues. I don't know how he cracks the Dodgers lineup or if he fits in there. The power is legit. Yeah. I just don't think the bat is that strong. That's the flip side of it. I think the hit tool is pretty weak. Like if I were to give Scout grades, which I don't, but let's go ahead and say I pretend like I do, I'd say it's maybe a 40 bat at most, 35, 40 bat. And we're looking at 65-ish power, which a couple of years ago, I thought he had some of the best power in the minor leagues, and he still does have very good power. STS gives him a comp that I find very interesting to Carlos Pena. So that's an impact major leaguer, and it's somebody that has legit power, but again, the hit tool is not great. So,
yeah. I think in 2021, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think we had Pages way up there. Like we were thinking he was going to be on a rocket ship. And he could have been, but he had a rough 2022, which is fine. You can have bad years. 2023 was injury plagued. I am cautiously optimistic here. I'm still on board, just lower than where I was before. If you own him, he's a hold. If you don't own him, he's not quite a go get him unless at the right price. Yep. If you're not giving much up, I would certainly go get him. And then you can sit on him and see what happens. The Dodgers don't mess up, especially lately. The Dodgers have been pretty damn good. They're pretty young in the outfield. He's probably not breaking in there unless there's an injury. Mookie did move back to second, from what I heard. He's going to play strictly second this year. So there's an opening there. But, they have young talent. You have Vargas that's still in there. Outman. It's going to be tough in this.
Does Ohtani play outfield? What are we doing? Is he going to play some outfield this year?
He's not pitching at all, right?
Not in 2024, I don't think.
So you're not going to put him in the outfield to make him make throws. You're just
I don't know. There was some talk that he could play some outfield. At least that's the buzz I heard. So,
that's just as much strain on your arm throwing it from the outfield as a pitcher, right? If not more.
I don't know. I don't know. You're not doing it 100 and some times a game, but
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I can't imagine he plays outfield. Oh, you're going to put that $700 million contract in the outfield? I don't think so. I don't see it.
You're also not going to pay a DH $700 million,
To sit this year and come back healthy next, maybe you do.
Fair, okay. If we're just talking about 1 year, sure.
Yeah. So the unfortunate thing here is the team. I don't see him cracking the lineup, but he can sit in AAA all year. He needs to prove a lot. So I do. I want to say this is a go get him for the right price.
I have him ranked number 74 personally, so I do have him ranked somewhat aggressively. I say, yeah, I'm with you at the right price. So if somebody has him like out of the top 100, that's the guy you want to buy from. If they're like, he's a top 50 prospect, nah. I think most places you look at, they probably don't have him in the top 100. So
he would be beautiful as a throw-in. where you just don't think your trade's quite good enough, well, give me Pages. That would be beautiful.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. So we want him. We just don't want to pay for him.
We want him. I mean, yeah, like I'm not giving up a lot for him because I don't think he's a player that's going to be a impact difference maker for your team. I think he's a major league bat, though.
Yeah.
And that means there's value there. So if there's value there, you want to roster him until you can maximize that value and then move him, right? That's generally how I would approach it. So that's how I would treat Pages, because I feel pretty confident in that stance that he's going to make a difference. He's not somebody that I think I want to be a staple on my team, though. So,
okay, I like it. Andy Pages. All right, Art. Cool. All right, so our next one's going to be Luis Baez. Luis Baez is with the Single A affiliate with the Houston Astros. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. He is 19 years old, born January 11th, 2004 in the Dominican Republic. Let's see. His stats look as goes. 2023 saw him in the rookie affiliate and then Single A affiliate. Overall, 214 at-bats, 248 average, on base 357, slugged 481, on base plus slugging 838, 62 strikeouts, 33 walks, 1 stolen base, 11 home runs. He's a decent individual. I just don't know much about him. How much have you been targeting him, Ross?
I think he's a guy that we could see move up pretty aggressively in rankings in the coming years, but I don't know if I'm seeing him as a potential, future top 20 guy necessarily or anything like that. What STS is seeing is a lot of power potential, projecting him for at peak 33 home runs. That's pretty good. But I think there's work to be done on the bat side, on the hit side, and on the plate discipline side. So last year in the DSL, he put up some very nice numbers, hit 305. This year, he hit just 248. Granted, he did make his way all the way up to Single A. Struck out 62 times, which is an alarming amount of strikeouts in the number of plate appearances he got, but it's maybe a tad high. A tad high? I don't know. I'm watching him with a lot of intrigue coming into 2024, so definitely on my watch list, and somebody that I'll go after and get in deep leagues, trying to get him on the cheap for sure.
Yeah, certainly. This is the kind of guy that I'm going to miss out in almost every league because I just want to see more, and I'm gonna miss the train, and that's okay. But I do see potential here. I don't see everything that I want in taking throwing my fishing pole out there and grabbing a guy. It's just not there yet. You're right. He should be somebody that you need to target because it's not going to cost you anything. Once again, I didn't even know the guy's name until we sat down here. But yeah, target him. See what you can get him for.
Right now he's in the back end of my top 100. So I do have a rank. So that's notable.
That's big time.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We're jumping into Kelvin Alcantara. Kevin Alcantara is with the Chicago Cubs. He's 21 years old. He's 6'6", 188 pounds. This year, let's see. Overall, let's go overall. He has 1,099 at bats in the minors. His average sits at 282, on base 354, slug 458, and on base plus slugging 812. There's 34 home runs, 39 stolen bases, strikeouts 300, walks 116. 2023, we've seen 309 at bats, 284 average, 345 slugging, and 465 slugging. On base plus slugging is 810. 13 home runs, 15 stolen bases, 105 strikeouts, 36 walks. We have a little bit of a plate discipline issue here, but he stuffs the stat line, right? I mean, three triples, 26 doubles. He's got a lot going for him. My fear here is he's just a guy. Is that kind of how you see it? He's just a guy.
Kind of, yeah. Very interesting profile in general. He's really tall, really thin, real thin right now. And he'll probably fill out, which means the power could come for Alcantara. I think a lot of people are banking on projection when it comes to Alcantara, but I'm not a projection guy, and I'm with you. I see plate discipline that's not great. I see some counting numbers. I see a decent all-around profile. Right now, I would say he looks like he could be a guy that would be like a 2020 sort, presuming that the speed stays and the power doesn't like blow up or something. But I think there's just so much projection that's baked into how people view him, typically speaking. Now, clearly STS is seeing something in the numbers too. If they have him this high, he's number 17 in our rankings. This is pretty decent. I just don't love the profile, and I don't see the growth that other people are banking on quite as much. And that's probably because I'm such a stat-based person. But we do have somebody that was 20, probably 21 by the time he reached AA. I mean, that's pretty decent. I don't love the profile myself.
But it's still a good profile.
That's a solid profile.
That's the thing that's the thing that's got me staying here. I have a comp here that I don't know if you're going to love, but I love it. Man, he reads Max Kepler to me. Everybody was so excited for Max Kepler. And I think his stats would probably mirror here. And it just has never really blossomed. It's never really popped. He's just kind of a guy.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, okay, I can see that comp a little bit, but Max Kepler before he came up was pretty good in the minor leagues.
So is Alcantara. I mean, it's pretty good.
Pretty simple. I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay. I can see it. I can see that, I guess. He hasn't had the big breakout that I think everybody was hoping for. And I guess that's my fear with Alcantara, is that there's so much projection into this breakout season that may never come. And maybe this is
that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. Yeah, it's like it's a fine profile, just like Max Kepler. Do we think he's going to blow up, or do we hope he's going to blow up? Yeah. Is it ever going to happen? I don't know. What'd you tell me about that? Didn't you go to a Minnesota Twins game and you were saying all the girls are just staring at Max Kepler?
Oh, yeah. The girls all love Max Kepler.
That's awesome. I like Max Kepler, too.
Yeah. Maybe for different reasons, but...
Yeah. I like him as a baseball player, but yeah, all the girls were staring at... I find that very humorous, that girls were just like in awe of the German. He's German, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at a guy like, how athletes, they're professional baseball athletes, they're just so much bigger than in person than anybody else. But he was clearly built. He's clearly a built human being.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, getting off on the rails there. All right, are we at 15?
16.
16. Okay, one more, and then I can start slurring my words. All right.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. This is somebody that I talk about quite a bit, and I think the world of him. He's very, very high in my personal rankings. But at number 16, we are at Pete Crow-Armstrong with the Chicago Cubs. He is 21 years old. He's 5'11", 184 pounds. He was drafted by the New York Mets in round 1, pick 19, out of Harvard Westlake, Los Angeles, California High School. As I stated, we've talked about Pete Crow-Armstrong in the past, so I'm going to jump straight into his 2023 stats. 2023 saw Pete Crow PCA. It's got to happen. Everybody has already started calling him that anyways. He doesn't have a name. He just has an abbreviation. PCA, seen AA stats and AAA stats. He had 438 at-bats, averaged 283, on base 365, slugged 511, on base plus slugging 876, 129 strikeouts, 46 walks, 20 bombs, 37 stolen bases, 26 doubles, and 7 triples. I know what I want to say, and I'm not even going to let you talk before I say go get him.
Okay, all right. All right, so let me be the wet towel then. So
Why?
PCA,
Why?
well, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Let me start with the good. I have him ranked my 13th overall prospect, so it's not like I'm down on PCA. I'm high on PCA. That sounds like a drug, by the way. I'm not high on any drugs. I do have some beer in me.
He's a drug for me. I can't get enough.
You can't get enough. I love it. As you can tell, we're getting closing in on 2 hours on this sucker. So, cheers. Anyway, PCA is a great drug. I have him ranked number 13th overall, so I'm very high on him. But STS is quite a bit lower on him. As you can see, he's coming in at 16 overall. So I don't think that that's so much about PCA as it is about other players and adjustments that the model is making that favor them a little bit more. But even if you look at the projections, especially unregressed, they look pretty good for PCA all around. So I think some other players are benefiting from adjustments that put them higher than PCA, if I'm being frank. I just think it's signaling something to be cautious about, because if you have to pay top 10 prospect prices for him, that's where I would hesitate. That's where I'm pumping the brakes a little bit. But all that said, I think he is on the precipice of being a top 10 quality prospect. Was 21 years old, qualified as a 21-year-old last year, is still 21 years old, made the major leagues. Didn't have a glorious debut, but he didn't even get 20 plate appearances to show off what he can do. And throughout the season, he was hit for power, steals bases. He had 37 stolen bases, 20 home runs. Even STS has to acknowledge the power speed potential there. Let me just read his overall projected line, because I think it's pretty good. He projects for a slash of 250 batting average, 314 OBP, and 409 slugging percentage with 18 home runs and 24 stolen bases. His counting numbers are pretty good. I think you want that on your team, especially by STS standards. So I think this is a really good, solid, all-around player. I just don't want to pay top 10 prices for him. Top 25? Yes.
I think he debuts this year.
Well, he debuted last year.
I think he starts this year.
He should start. He should start in the major leagues with the Cubs. Interestingly enough, we had Cubs back-to-back. We started this podcast with Orioles back-to-back. Yeah. But I think you'd agree with me that we both think that PCA is at least a tier, if not two, above Alcantara. So.
Oh yeah. And
I think
To be honest with you, I think he's a tier above maybe 7 of the next guys that we're going to be talking about. But that's my personal rankings. That's not STS.
Yep. Well, and his major league sample wasn't great, so I mean that's factored in there too. That might have dropped him a little bit.
Hey, that only helps you go get him.
Possibly, yeah. And it works the other way too. Sometimes we see guys that come up and have fantastic debuts. You got a whole history of minor league stats in most cases. Don't ignore it. Ignore at your own peril. That's what I say.
For sure. All righty. We are jumping into the next one, and right now we have Gabriel Gonzalez with the High A affiliate with the Seattle Mariners. He was born January 4th in Venezuela. Gabriel Gonzalez, overall, his stats, he has 917 at-bats in the minors. He has a 302 average, 377 on base, slug 483, on base plus slugging 860, 32 home runs, 28 stolen bases. That was his career. 2023 really saw him break out, to be honest with you. In my opinion, I think we really saw a breakout here. He did finish with High A. In 2023, he had 477 at-bats, 298 average, 361 on base, slug 476, on base plus slugging 837, 10 stolen bases, and 18 home runs with 23 doubles, 89 strikeouts, and 36 walks. I think you would agree with this. I think Gabriel Gonzalez made some money this year. What do you think?
So you said breakout. I would maybe argue that the breakout was last year potentially, but really good season. In effect, I mean, we did talk about Gabriel Gonzalez last year too, and I think we both said, pay attention, 2023 is going to be a big year for him, and I think we were right. Yeah. He really blew up on the scene at Single A, and the power was slow to come too. So I think the numbers are even better because he hit 348 at Single A, and he was going for a while without any home runs, and then they started coming, and then he was promoted. And at High A, even though his numbers were lagging at High A, he was hitting with a lot of power. Mm-hmm. Granted, this is the Mariners and their affiliate at that level, the Everett Aqua Sox, they have a really shallow porch there, so that happens a lot, but really impressive power outage there. And I'm still like way on board. I think Gabriel Gonzalez is a really solid all-around bat. He has a reputation apparently as a non-athlete, which I don't get. I don't see in the numbers. I think he's a professional hitter. So I say invest with confidence. He made my core 4, or what later became the Fab 5. So I think he's a serious target. Go get Gabriel Gonzalez.
Do you own him in our league?
I do not. No.
Oh, okay.
The only members of our core of my Fab 5 that I own are Cole Young. I think that's it in our league.
Okay.
Roman Anthony. He's another one.
I should have prefaced that a little bit better. This year was another stepping stone for him. He's only 19 years old. He will be 20 in a few days. But another stepping stone. He's going to be in Double-A this year at 20 years old. I think the world of him. In my opinion, he's going to go get him. Last year, maybe we slow played it a little bit and kind of said, this is a target to watch. Go get him.
Agreed. Go get Gabriel Gonzalez. GG.
Good game. All right. Moving on to the next one. We have an unknown to me, but that's okay because he's with the New York Yankees affiliate. We all know my hatred for the New York Yankees. I will not stop saying it. His name is John Cruz, and he's with a rookie affiliate with the New York Yankees. He is 6'3", 171 pounds. He's only 18 years old. Won't be 19 till at least the middle of the season. Born 8/29 of 2005. So he's got two different rookie levels that he's played in. He played in a rookie level last year, and he played in a rookie level this year in the Florida Gulf Coast League. That would be stateside, so we're happy to see that. So this year he had 177 at bats, 294 average, 376 on base, slugged 531 with an on base of plus slugging of 907, 44 strikeouts, 22 walks, 10 home runs, 9 stolen bases, 6 doubles, 3 triples. I don't know anything about John Cruz, Ross.
Well, time to inform yourself, Brian, about John Cruz, because I think he was a big short season breakout this year and put up some really fabulous numbers that you went through. There's interesting power potential here. I do think the fact that STS right now is not including his DSL numbers in his projections helps him, which I'd like to see. I'd like to see those included because they were a little down last year. But the power was pretty insane for a youngster at the level that he played at the rookie level, 17. So pretty impressive numbers in just 202 plate appearances, those 10 home runs. I do have him ranked in my top 100. I think he's a guy you want to target now on the possibility that this is legit and is only going to get better. So I say go get him. Go get him.
Yep, super cheap. Nobody should, unless you have some people in your league that are just fanatics with the DSL and shorts league seasons. This should be very cheap. You should be able to get him for next to nothing. Just by knowing his name, I think you're going to surprise some people. Yeah, go. It's fine if you go get him. I'm not going to get him because he's a Yankee. There's only 2 teams in the major league that I will not take prospects on: the Yankees and the Rockies. So yeah, one thing that you need to know about me is you guys can go buy here if you want, but New York Yankees and Colorado Rockies prospects I will not own. That's just a personal bias. Go buy them if you want.
I say get them now before it's too late, or get them now. Here's a better way to say it. Get them now to see what becomes. But don't pay prices for expectations that he's going to be something that he might not be either.
Okay.
So before we move on to the next guy, I'm moving on my next beer. So I got to say, this is a hazy IPA revision, Tahoe Haze, Northeast style hazy IPA. So this is my last regular IPA. And then all I got left, get this, is Imperial IPAs. So
nice.
Going to get real messy here real soon after I finish this guy.
I had to switch to a Coors Light just to cut it for a little bit.
All right. Let's move on. Next guy.
Okay, next guy I'm excited about. I'm excited about this guy because of one huge reason. Our next guy is Bryce Eldridge. Bryce Eldridge is with the Single A affiliate with the San Francisco Giants. He is 6'7", 223 pounds. He is only 19 years old. He was drafted round 1, pick 16 overall out of high school, Madison, Vienna, Virginia. And I don't know why I said Virginia like that, but that's cool. We only had 109 at-bats in 2023. 109 at-bats. He batted .294 on base, 400, slugged .505 on base, plus slugging .905, 34 strikeouts, 20 walks, 6 home runs, 1 stolen bases. I will tell you why I am super excited about this right now. I have a huge comp to him of Wade Meckler.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Where are you getting that?
Because he's a high average guy, He has quite a bit more power than Meckler already, I think. I see Wade Meckler here. Just bear with me. Watch 2024. He's going to be a huge average guy with a little bit more power than Meckler. Plus, he's got a great mustache.
Okay. Well, how to respond to that? Interesting. So he does have a great mustache. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a great mustache. And he's 6'7".
At 18, that's pretty impressive.
I know. I can't even. I'm 40 and I can't even grow a mustache.
He's 19 now, I guess. But okay, so STS doesn't see that in the projection. I don't know that I see that. That's such an interesting comp. But STS sees a guy with a lot of power, not nearly the same quality of hit tool that Meckler's was carrying with him. But they have Bryce Eldridge right now projected for 38 home runs per 600 plate appearances.
It's pretty awesome.
It's huge. It's huge. Very small sample to draw a lot of conclusions from, of course. Only 130 plate appearances, but he made it up to single A level. Did hit 6 home runs. So I don't know. I mean, I see a power potential bat here. He is on the Giants, I guess. Maybe that has something to do with your comp. But I also believe Bryce Eldridge is a pitcher. Were you familiar with that?
I was not. Is he still pitching?
I don't know that he pitched this year, but I think he came into the season as a dual athlete. Or not a dual athlete, but a dual threat, kind of like an Ohtani.
Yeah. He's built like a pitcher. He's freaking huge.
Yeah. Huge guy. So I would say his future is probably in hitting. But I see him more of a power hitter here than like a Wade Meckler type. But a pretty good one. Looks like a pretty solid one to me.
I'm endorsing this one. I like Bryce Eldridge. I like him a lot. And I think you should go get him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all for it. The thing is, he's probably not super cheap because he does come in with some notoriety, being a first-round pick, the first selection by the San Francisco Giants. So he's not unknown. You'll have to pay up. But I think the price is worth admission. So I'm for it. I say go get him.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to plant my flag here. He's one of my guys. He's going to be a part of my Fab Five.
Ooh! I can't wait to hear it. Ooh!
All right. The next one, we got another Yankee. And might be the only Yankee that I've ever liked as a prospect. And I'll tell you, we'll get into it. We've had 2 different podcasts that we've talked about. The Martian, Mr. Jasson, or is it Jason or Jasson?
It's just Jason. Yeah, it looks like, I mean, ass is in there, so it looks like Jasson.
Yeah,
but
okay,
it's just Jason.
Yeah, Jasson Dominguez, the Martian, the New York Yankees center fielder, 5'9", 190 pounds, 20 years old. He debuted last year, which I thought was stunning. He was born February 7th, 2003 in the Dominican Republic. This year, I'm just going to do this year. He had 118 at-bats, 265 average, 377 on base, slugged 425, on base plus slugging, 802, 15 home runs, 40 stolen bases, 133 strikeouts, 83 walks, 22 doubles, 3 triples. I'm going to tell you why I like Jasson Dominguez, and that is because the New York papers, the media said that the Martian, Jasson Dominguez, was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. He was going to be the greatest hitter since Mickey Mantle. And there was no doubt about it. Like, they were for sure stating this. Like, no matter what, he is going to be the greatest baseball player ever. And he fell on his face. Most people, 98% of people, would have crumbled and never been able to survive it. He proved he's a really good baseball player. He showed everything that he needed to make it to the major leagues. He's still not to the caliber that the media projected him to, but I really enjoy Jasson Dominguez now. And it's for all of that. Most people can't survive something like that. Matter of fact, okay, a side story. Zach Greinke said that he would not go to the New York Yankees because of his anxiety. He wouldn't have been able to handle the New York press, the New York facade, however you want to say it. Jasson Dominguez has got one hell of an uptick in my book for handling that shit.
Yeah. When you say facade, I think you like pressure maybe is more appropriate.
Yeah, just bubble, aura.
Yeah, okay. I see, yeah. The aura. Okay, I'm following you.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's fake. It's not fake. It's real there.
No, it's certainly real. Yeah, certainly real. It's an aura around it.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super conflicted when it comes to Jasson Dominguez. Where to start? So we did a player eval on him last year, and much to your point, we came into that eval being like, yeah, he fell on his face early on, and we sort of reveled in it a little bit, right? Both you and I, because he was so hyped. Like, the hype was immense, and he just didn't live up to it. And I think you and I both enjoy when that doesn't happen for whatever reason. Sick pleasure. I don't know. But this year, or then last year, he showed us that he was a ball player. He did a really good job. And last year, I would say his season was very similar. It wasn't a huge breakout. In fact, the beginning of the season was pretty poor. He turned it on near the end and had a very strong finish to the season, which tells you about the type of quality player he is. And got a major league call-up at the end, right? So playing under the New York Lights, he was a star. He really was a star for the Yankees. He hit 4 home runs in a pretty small sample size and 33 plate appearances, 4 home runs. All of a sudden, the billing is back that the best thing since sliced bread, essentially, Jasson Dominguez, he's here. He got hurt. He's going to be out for a while, which, unfortunate turn of events, but I feel like the hype is now too strong. I've seen him ranked super aggressively on prospect lists as a result, and I'm not sure where that's coming from. I mean, 4 home runs in the major leagues in your first 33 plate appearances is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but you have a whole slew of minor league data to back up where he should be ranked too. And it's not as a 677 slugger like he was in those 33 plate appearances. It's a guy that can hit for power, but not at least not right now, not looking like a 40 home run guy, looking maybe like a 15 to 20 home run guy, and maybe 30 to 40 stolen bases. Those are really good numbers. Don't get me wrong, but the billing is that, he's way up here, and I've seen so many top 10 prospect assignments to him. I just I'm starting to feel that same way again, where I'm a little off. And even last season, I did some of these shorts with Tom, one of our STS guys, and he asked who was overrated between these players, and I would say Jasson Dominguez, because the hype was too strong.
Yep. And
it wasn't because I don't think he's a good prospect. It was just because the hype is too strong, and now I'm feeling that again, and it's pushing me away from me having high regard of him, which I did have last year.
Yep. Even
though I have not really docked him in my rankings or anything like that as a result, he is still a highly ranked prospect for me. I have him at, let's see if I can find Jasson Dominguez, at number 37. And even people at STS have him in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a mismatch. 37 is a good player. I think he's a very good player, but I'm not seeing the top 10 guy right now. I'm just not. He had a great debut. That happens. So did Evan Carter, who I do have as a top 10 prospect, incidentally. But, I think so often these turn out to be like Sullivans, Not that I'm looking to sell Evan Carter, but I would be if I owned Jasson Dominguez. No doubt about it.
I think if this is a shot against you and me, I think we are both falling into the entrapment of we can't stand what the media has done to this gentleman, and we're so sick and tired about hearing it that we're gonna drop him down. I think he's 19 on my top 100 list. I believe he's top 20. I think it's 19. But yeah, I do. I get so irked and mad, and then I really start looking into the numbers and saying the kid's just not very good. And you guys are preaching that he's incarnate. He's coming back. Here he is. It's Jesus himself. And then I look at it and I'm like, no, he's not. He's awful. And he's not awful. He's very, very freaking good. He's only 20 years old. He'll be 21 at the start of the season. Probably starting.
I pulled up I've got your rankings here. That's the great thing about STS. I can always look at them. You have them at number 33, so you're closer aligned to me.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I thought I had higher than that. I think I would, revamp that, and I'd have him probably in the top 20. Well, maybe not, because there's a lot of guys I like. But anyways, I'm just saying that I think he's really, really good. He's 21 years old. He's starting for the New York Yankees. They're probably starting him because of the media shit.
Yeah, he's not even 21 yet. He'll be 21
at the start of the year,
for sure. But he's going to be out, I think, half the year. He's going to be gone half the year with an injury.
Did he tear ACL?
Tommy John. He had Tommy John? Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, UCL. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so he's going to be gone for a while,
Yeah. So, okay, this is where I stand on Jasson Dominguez as far as getting him. Don't go get him because you ain't going to be able to afford him.
Whoever owns him is likely a huge fan. That's how it goes with these. Likely he's ended up with somebody that loves him.
Yeah. Okay, to put it in perspective, in our league, where you can draft, we have an open universe for our drafts. He was drafted at 16 years old. 16. And the same owner has him. And he's not going.
He was untouchable for most of that time.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake. He should be trading him. There's a couple moments that right when he first came out and the hype was so high on Jasson Dominguez, he was a top 30 prospect like right out of the gates. And then after that debut, because it was so strong that he's carrying out top 10 billing, He's a good trade candidate at those 2 points in time. And I view those as almost equal because you could have got top 30 prospect billing, 3 years ago. Now it's top 10, so like you've netted some spots, but you could have transferred that for somebody that, who knows, could have been a top 5 guy or whatever. Anyway,
this might be the only time that I ever say this because I don't think it happens very often. It might actually happen more than I think, but this is a perfect sell candidate because you can get so much value out of it. Like you find a Yankees fan, sell him to the Yankees fan and get Sagisi and Emerson and whoever the hell you want out of there, and they'll do it because they're such freaking diehard fans. I don't think I'll ever say that again. I really, unless it's another Yankees player.
So let me put it this way. I think Dominguez is a really good player.
So do I.
I'm with you that he is overranked because of his professional debut right now. And the hype that was surrounding him when he was first coming up, that still was lingering behind the scenes. The time to buy him was last season. I think we said that on the show pretty emphatically, that we were fans and we thought you should get him. If you didn't get him then at the prices he was at, like, you're not getting him now. And it's not worth it anymore. It was worth it there for a moment. It's not worth it anymore.
So I want to put something in perspective, actually something that happened today anyways. I don't want to get too far off the rail. I know I am. But Vaughn Grisham was traded today for Chris Sale, correct?
Yep.
Can you imagine if the New York Yankees would have traded, let's just say the Braves, because Braves are a huge market team in baseball too, but the Yankees are on a whole nother level. If that would have happened with the Yankees, that fan base would have freaking flipped their minds on a young player getting traded for an old pitcher.
But it's not even just the fans.
Yeah, the media would have went nuts. They would have said this is the worst trade that the Yankees could have ever made. And I think it's a good trade.
Everybody in the industry that I seem to have communications with on a regular basis or am adjacent to is way down on Grissom. Like, they just don't.
I'm not a fan of him. I'm not either. I never.
But I do. Like, I like him. I actually think he's pretty interesting. To me, that deal makes sense in the major leagues because there's contracts and things like that also go into play. In a fantasy league, do you do that deal? I don't know. It seems like in our league, you have to pay like exorbitant prices to get any sort of young talent. And that could include like a Chris Sale or more even, So maybe that deal goes down there too. But yeah, there's a lot of outrage associated with it. It's interesting. And yeah, it would never happen in New York. It would not happen for Jasson Dominguez.
People would lose their freaking minds if a young talent left New York for an old pitcher. Lose their it's just boggling to me because
I don't know, Brian. I don't know, because that's what they did for like decades. They were selling all their talent in their farm for established players. That was their game plan for vets. It's not a bad game plan.
They weren't trading though. They were just buying them. They were free agents that they could just turn and burn.
They were doing both. They did both. They traded a lot. They didn't have much in their farm, and they didn't really keep them around because they were always moving for established guys.
They didn't care. Yeah, they didn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I'm just saying. Let's just say that they traded the Martian for Blake Snell. I mean, New York would blow up. It would just blow up. They'd say, "What are you doing? Everybody needs to be fired."
I don't know. Maybe
it would be a good trade. It would be a fantastic trade, and they would lose their mind. Yeah, I'm going off the rails. I'm speaking from my heart. Moving on.
I like it.
So, randomly, we got a special guest from Canada. Doc just said, "Hey, let me pop on here real quick to talk about some prospects." Doc Holliday's here. Hello, my friend. Welcome from Canada. He's got a cigarillo going. Say a few words, man.
Well, I know you all probably did the drink business earlier, so I'll keep it quick with it. You can get these guys. These are some Panthers. They're just kind of little silly little cigarillos. We don't have time for the full thing. Kind of like my appearance right now. And they normally go $59.99 on Cigars International, but sometimes you get them for $9.99. You get this whole carton. It's crazy deal. And then I'm drinking. There's not coffee in there.
Okay, all right.
Well, I don't know. I should probably look at Canadian laws. I am technically in my vehicle right now. We're not going anywhere, baby. I'm in here, away from family over the holidays, so we can do a quick little. I gotta get my fix. I feel like I got some addiction. I think we got problems, boys. But I got some Larceny Kentucky bourbon. Just a drop in there to say I'm part of the thing. And now, do y'all want me to let you know where I am? where exactly in Canada? Because that might lead us into our next prospect.
Yeah, no, don't tell us about it.
it.
Just make sure nobody comes knocking on the window asking what you're doing here.
I mean, if we get a DUI on our podcast,
I'm just fleeing back to America. Fleeing back to America. I'm like, sorry, buddy, baseball was calling. I am in Burlington, Ontario, where I was raised, and that is where someone who is a little bit better at baseball than I am, Owen Caissie, was born and raised. He went to Notre Dame High School, Notre Dame, and I actually went to the same high school. It's a very crazy world, very small world. It's so funny. He's 6'5", this ginger kid, Irish last, Owen Caissie, very iconic kind of guy. I feel like if this kid was in, the Northeast or Texas or one of these baseball hotbeds, his experience in high school would have been a lot different because here it's hockey, and then some more hockey. So, but he's about to change. He's about to go through some changes because now he's in the baseball rabid, the rabidest fans, some of them, the Chicago Cubs organization. And this kid, I'm hearing that he's got possibly, after Junior Caminero, the most power in all of the minors. He might have the most power. I heard it's up there. There are some metrics behind this. I'm going to be bad on metrics today because, as you can tell, I'm using my phone. But this kid, he's launching bombs after bombs. I think this is a good place for him, actually. Sometimes, the model has some funny rankings. You're not sure. Is that sample size? Is this? What is this? With Owen Caissie, I mean, he might even be in the top 10 now for me. He's going to be ramping up and launching to the top of rankings this spring. I think you're going to see it. And I don't know. I could see Mr. Owen Caissie maybe getting a cup of coffee by the end of this year. I mean, he's 20 years old in Double-A. Is that correct? I mean,
that's hot. That's a hot
these
take,
days, man. These days, it's like, I don't think he's going to start. I don't think he's anywhere close to ready for the start of the year, personally. But I think you're going to want him revved up so he can give you a chance at that compensation pick, right? So the way things are set up now, I think it's just you're going to see more guys go from Double-A to the hot. So anyway, I guess I had a thought or two about that.
That was a fantastic introduction. I'm going to bounce back just a little bit. Here we are. We got Owen Caissie, and he's with a Double-A affiliate with the Chicago Cubs. He's 6'5". Is what Doc says. But MILB says 6'3", 190 pounds. They're wrong. Doc's right. He's age 21, born Burlington, Ontario, Canada. Drafted round 2, pick 45. Went to high school Notre Dame, Burlington, Ontario. His stats this year in 2023 look as 439 at bats, 289 average, on base of 398, slugging 519 with an OPS of 917, 22 home runs, 7 stolen bases. An odd thing is he got caught stealing 9 times, 164 strikeouts, 76 walks, 31 doubles, 2 triples. Well, we all know Doc's opinion here. He loves Caissie.
I'll give you one little knock on him, and it's the knock we all know. First of all, I'm going to say the steals, the guy that big, whatever. I don't think it's going to keep happening. But I think, and maybe you or Ross want to pick up on this note, but we got to keep an eye on those strikeouts. That's the only reason he hasn't been higher so far, from what I can tell. But and I'll say one more thing. Think about this. People I've been talking to around here, I'm like, you got a base. I have to remind them, like, you guys got a baseball stud from your area, from the city. They don't care. They don't know. Here's the thing. You'll see a guy like some of these Canadians, though, they'll go down to America and they'll go to an American high school, a prep school, and they'll, and that's how, they'll go forward. I mean, the fact that he stayed in Canada and he still got drafted in the second round speaks volumes to what the scouts thought of him. So I'll just leave it on that. And what do y'all think about this fella?
I agree. I'm on board with you, Doc. I really like Caissie. Caissie? How do you say that?
Caissie.
Okay. So I'm on board. I like everything about it, but what you said it. You mentioned the one big bugaboo in the room is that strikeout percentage. He's got to figure it out. Other than that, he's on a rocket ship to the moon. Ross?
No, I agree. I agree completely with everything you guys said. Owen Caissie, big physical guy. Hits with power, pretty good all-around numbers. As Doc mentioned, the big concern, the one red flag in this profile is the strikeouts. So, and they were pretty high last year despite pretty good numbers, but we're looking at a guy that was 20 years old last year, 21 this year, for most of the season, 21, 22. But he could be in AAA on the precipice of the major leagues. Just work on making consistent contact, and there you go. You got a major leaguer, and probably one of the better major leaguers for the Chicago Cubs. The third Cubs guy on the list that we've talked about, by the way.
I don't think Wrigley gets talked about enough as a hitter's stadium either. I mean, it's up there. It's if people get to keep ripping on Bellinger, and his metrics, his power metrics are all down. I'm like, well, he hit 26 last year, so something's happening, and I think part of that was probably the way the wind was blowing at Wrigley. It helps, and if you already have massive power like this guy, I think the future will be a lot of fun to watch him. See how, and he's got something about him, right? You could see them really, building him in there as a cornerstone in the outfield.
So Bellinger hasn't signed anywhere, right? He's still a free agent.
I'd love him to come back to Chicago at this point.
Okay, if he doesn't though, let's just talk about this. We could have Pete Crow-Armstrong and Caissie coming up to the bigs next year. That's a fun outfield.
And you got Alcantara knocking on the door, maybe?
Yeah. That's a fun outfield. We got some rooks just playing in the outfield in the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the arms, Cade Horton and Ben Brown, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and I mean, it's not like I was looking at Dansby Swanson today. He's still just 29 years old. I feel like he feels a little older than that. They can. He didn't have the year he had the year before, but I looked at the numbers. They're fine. He's I mean, this is an interesting team, and I'm a Justin Steele believer. I'm a fanatic of him. I think, I'm not like necessarily a Cubs fan or anything, but it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. They're definitely going to be the Chicago team of note for the foreseeable future. So the White Sox got some work to do.
I mean, I think it's been that way for a while. It seems like. Anyway.
I'm a fan of both those players that you just mentioned. Justin Steele, he's obviously on my dynasty team that is legit now. He's the cornerstone on my pitching staff. And I got to say, as far as head game is concerned, Dansby Swanson, that's a good-looking gentleman, man. That's a good-looking fella.
That was an interesting lead-in. I didn't know where
right.
you were.
So okay, all right.
I'm heterosexual enough to admit when people are good looking. It's a handsome man. It's a handsome man.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're all on board. All three of us.
Yes, sir.
Is he a go get him?
Yeah, go get him. Yeah, he's especially a go get him right now. I think there is helium there that's starting to sink in, but it's not completely there yet. I mean, my opinion on him has even changed in the last month or so. I'm like, I'm starting to go through the outfield, prospects. I'm like, I mean, he's up there. He's up there near the top. Yeah. So, yeah. Yep. Get him now. It's going to be way more expensive in spring, I think.
It's not nearly as expensive as you just said. Not nearly as expensive as it will be. Mm-hmm. Now is the time to go get Caissie. Owen Caissie.
Yep. Keep an eye on the strikeouts. That's the one red flag.
Agreed. Doc, you going to hang out for Roman Anthony?
I'll hang out for Roman Anthony and maybe one more. I said 7:30 when I'm done, and right where I'm at right now it's 7:21. So we'll see.
All right. So we're Brian. We're in the top 10. We're in the top 10.
We are.
And I got to share. I'm on to another beer. I'm on to just Imperial IPAs. This one's called Comatose. So good night. Good night after this.
Night.
So it's going to be fun. And we get to talk about one of the Fab Five, so I'm stoked about this.
Yep, part of the Fab Five of Ross Jensen, just Ross. We're diving into the top 10 already here. STS, Statliners, Bats and stats. Here we go. Roman Anthony, AA affiliate with the Boston Red Sox, plays for the Portland Sea Dogs. He was born 5/13/2004 in West Palm Beach, Florida. Drafted in the second round, pick 79 overall. This year's stats, he had 397 at bats, 272 average, on base percentage of 403, slugged 466, on base plus slugging 869, 119 strikeouts, 86 walks, 14 home runs, 16 stolen bases, 27 doubles, 3 triples. He's a stat line stuffer. Let's be what he is. The guy can do everything really good. Does he have anything that he's amazing at? That's my question. I like Roman Anthony. I just want to know, does he excel at anything? Or is that his acceleration is just being damn good?
Well, I mean, if hitting the ball really hard and having really good eye and plate discipline, I feel like that's something. I think from what I'm understanding, he's top of the class in those categories, and well, I like those categories. It's and I get surprised when I go to see his profile.
Did we lose him?
Did we lose Doc?
We might have lost
power outage in Canada. All right, so let me pick up from there, unless we get him back. But Roman Anthony, oh my God, Brian, interesting to hear you say that. Not maybe not good at anything that's particularly good, but I see something different in this profile.
Yeah, he's good at everything. I'm wondering if he excels at anything.
I've got him as being excelling at almost everything. I mean, okay, so I want to use your refrain here because I don't know that there's any other prospect in baseball that is necessarily on a rocket ship as much as Roman Anthony.
That's Mars.
I mean, look at this. Look at this. I'm gonna do the statistical thing. Doc, I'll hand it back over to you. Thanks for rejoining us. But he started out at single A and he had a 693 OPS, only 1 home run. And there was talk even at that time that, he's got the skills, had great plate discipline, as many walks as strikeouts. It just wasn't quite coming together, but he got promoted anyway. And at high A, he had a 981 OPS in more plate appearances than he had at single A. And he was promoted to double A. And what do you think he did there? He put a 1020 OPS together. He improved at every level. You don't even need to look at splits. You don't even need to look at the month-to-month improvement to see how much he improved throughout the year. This guy he's a straight up sort of player. He's figuring it out. He's doing everything he needs to do. He's hitting with power. He's got speed. He's super athletic as far as I understand. This guy has got supreme athleticism. In fact, when he came into the league with this, I guess, view of him being raw. And he's not raw. He's a very mature, advanced hitter, I think. That's what I'm seeing when I look at the numbers. So we're seeing something very different here than what I think scouts were saying that he was when he was coming into the league. So straight rocket ship to the top. No other prospect has the helium potential, I think, that Roman Anthony does. Very few in the league. And even on this list, and we're going to talk about some really good prospects. We're in the top 10 now. So very few have the helium potential that Roman Anthony does. This guy has the potential to be the number 1 prospect. That's how I view it.
Ooh, yeah. There it is.
And
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, I think he's safe, too. I mean, the floor on this guy at this point, it's just anytime you see a guy, like you were saying, when you're promoting him to higher competition and the numbers are improving, that's, Basayo was doing the same kind of thing. Those kind of guys, those are the guys. and at young ages too. You know, they're from what I understand, he's hitting the ball really hard. I believe he's training with Jackson Holiday. I'm not sure if I heard that right, but he's out there. He's training with the best of the best. The other young stud. He's probably asking for tips on how he can be the next number one fantasy prospect. You know, that's sure they have this conversation. It's really important to them. But no, man, it's and then anytime you got a guy with that high OBP like that, you know, why is he on the team? Well, he gets on base. So when you can get on base, you're already checking a huge one in my books. And yeah, I mean, the fact this guy actually, I think this is where I was getting cut off there from this Canadian internet. Van White. He steals bases, and I don't know if he's going to go away. He's not that, like, he's big, but he's not like he's, chunky. He's just an athlete. This could be a guy where maybe, what's he giving you? Great OBP numbers, probably a reasonable average. I mean, but it's looking from the sounds of the way he's hitting this ball, at least 25 home run kind of guy. And then maybe he's giving you 15 stolen bases. This is just a nice thing. And that's, you don't like to go too crazy here, but I think he's got a ceiling. I think he's got a peak season in him with numbers, especially with the power that can beat that. I mean, you're looking at a guy, maybe he gets up to that 30 home run kind of, power someday. But honestly, it doesn't really matter. Look at Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman made a career off of like between 20 and 30. We get kind of greedy as fantasy guys. We want that big 40 home runs, like, okay, cool. It's great if it happens. But hey, man, get on base and make the magic happen. I think it'll take care of itself. I'm really excited about him. I think you're right. He's got the upside to be the number one, but his floor is like, it's not that low. Like, this is a guy you want to, and even now, he's still not ranked where he could be. So you could still buy here and make a profit.
I like it.
That makes him can't miss, in my opinion.
You just can't. Yeah, I hate saying that. I remember people saying Kellenic can't miss, and it's like,
no, that's not true. That's not true.
You never said that.
No,
I didn't say you said that, but I heard some voices saying it. Voices in my head.
I had him ranked like number 17 that year when everybody was calling him the number one. Not in the same boat.
I have a hard time seeing this play discipline dropping off too severely, right? I mean, it's honestly kind of hard to figure out. I was stumbling a bit thinking about what I'm going to, give him a peak projection of. It's like, I don't know, because right now he's got video game numbers, so we have to see him get humbles like Jackson Holiday. I want to find the holes in these guys' games because I'm not seeing any right now. Which, if you're investing in dynasty stocks, that's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Incidentally, I have Roman Anthony ranked number 17 this year, but I'm saying he has number one potential.
Top 10, personally.
Yeah.
I got to work on that one, but yeah.
So, I have two things on Roman Anthony. One, I don't see a blocker in Boston. We could see something shocking like Roman Anthony playing in the bigs next year. It's not crazy. It's not out of this world. Guy's a superstar. Number two, he's got a face comp to Robert De Niro.
What?
No, he's got a face.
He's a young Robert De Niro.
No, that's absurd. I can't disagree with you more. He's got a face comp to Colt Emerson. They're the same guy. I'm convinced.
No, he's got
Colt
a young
and Roman Anthony look like the same guy.
I don't
look up Roman Anthony.
Okay,
and tell
so
me
he's got that. He's got that mold. Like he's got that mold like De Niro has. Is that what you're keying in on?
Oh no, I'm keen on his whole face. That's Taxi Driver right there.
I can't risk with my Canadian van Wi-Fi. I can't risk going away to look at pictures right now, but I'll have to get back to you on that one.
But you take a look at him, and he's built like an athlete. The guy is
Raging Bull. Yeah, I know.
I'll say this about Boston. Honestly, you raise an interesting fact about him being in Boston beyond, the team's not looking too sharp right now. I think there's definitely room for him to pop in there. Here's an interesting thing I just kind of thought about. That I'm not sure if you're feeling this right now, but especially after trades like today, the fan base is not happy. They're really I know a lot of guys who are Red Sox fans who are they're not happy with the way this franchise is going right now. And so it could be a move where like, we need a jolt here. We need to give the fans an indication that we care, that we're going to try to win, that we want to put out a good, fun team that's quality. Well, if Roman Anthony comes in a spring, I would think of more of like a late season cup of coffee is what I would predict. Yeah. But I mean, if he comes in there and he's got a 400 OBP in spring training, ripping bombs, I don't know. Maybe if he does it, it'd be fun. You can dream.
Yeah, I certainly didn't mean to say that he's starting the year in the MLB, but I can see a call up. I can see a call up real quick. Somewhere around the All-Star break, just to see what he's got to give the fans some juice. Boston would love it. Boston would love this guy, especially with the De Niro comp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
De Niro comp. All right. Well, fellas, I'm here to visit Canadian family, and I said 7:30 at 7:32. I'm kind of frustrated. I'm having a blast right now. Wish I could stay longer. I'm gonna have to go look at some pictures of Roman Anthony now and see what you're seeing.
Darren, go enjoy your family. Appreciate you coming in. That's awesome.
Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas, everything, man. God bless.
I'll see you in the land of the free.
You bet. See ya. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we had Doc, show up randomly for us. That was amazing. I was so excited that he could just pop in for just a second, especially during the holidays. That was great of him to do that. But we're jumping into number 9, and number 9 we got Walker Jenkins. That's a Hall of Fame name comp right there, Walker Jenkins. That's like Walker Texas Ranger roundhouse kicks to the face. I love it. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. He's 18 years old. He was drafted by the Minnesota Twins in round 1, pick 5 overall out of South Brunswick, Southport, North Carolina. And he had a phenomenal season. He only had 105 at bats, batted .362 from the rookie level to the A level. On-base percentage of .417, slugged .571, on-base plus slugging .988. He had 6 stolen bases, 3 home runs, 5 doubles, 4 triples. I think the Twins have got something pretty crazy here. He's only 18 years old, Ross. This is a wait and see, but in my book, you have to go get him right now because it's going to be so expensive if he blows up next year, right?
Yeah. I mean, incredible numbers on his debut. Super small sample. This is small sample alert that we're dealing with here. But he came in with a lot of pedigree. Clearly, as the 5th overall pick, I think he's better than Max Clark. I'm going to throw that out there.
Ooh,
I'm throwing this out there. I know you're a Tigers fan. You like Max Clark for that reason. And if we had Darren on here, he did a little piece on Max Clark being the next number 1. I'm telling you right now, I've seen enough that I have Walker Jenkins ranked above Max Clark. Now, I've seen other people that have him much more aggressively ranked, like top 10. I'm not there yet, but I do have him quite high. I have him as my number 23 overall prospect, and there's nothing to knock here. It's a great all-around profile. Great plate patience, hitability, power, speed, everything you want. You got to get him now. Now's your only chance. Now, is it a perfect profile? I don't know. You tell me. It's not because the sample isn't big enough.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's not much to peck at. I think Walker Jenkins is looking pretty incredible.
He's number 2 on my Fab 5.
Number 2 on your Fab 5. Who's number 1?
We just talked about it.
Roman? Wait, no. Who's your number 1?
I don't remember.
You said, I think we talked about you needed to have a top a Fab 5, but we didn't actually say.
I have 100 of them.
Right. Okay.
No, Walker Jenkins. I was just teasing you. Walker Jenkins is very, very high in the Shanks portfolio right now. But I want to see next year.
Yeah, for sure.
If you want Walker Jenkins and you want to explore what he's going to do, you have to get him right now, because if anything happens next year of him exploding in any category, I mean, he could do stolen bases, he could do home runs, average, whatever slugging, whatever you want. If he touches one of those numbers, he is completely unattainable. You can't get him. He's going to be a top 5 prospect.
Absolutely. He's a go get him 100%.
Yep.
And I got to say, we're circling around. We're 20 minutes away from 3 hours. So I got Comatose double IPA, Imperial IPA here. So things are getting fun and interesting. Let's keep this thing going and see what kind of conversations come out. You're going to get the truth from us.
This is number 6. We will be busting out the second 6-pack really, really soon.
Oh,
9.1 horsepower. I'm going to feel good tomorrow. Holy cow, I'm going to feel good tomorrow. I can't explain how I'm going to feel good. Anyways, here we go. One of my favorite prospects. It doesn't matter about positions. It doesn't matter about affiliates. It doesn't matter about anything. One of my favorite prospects overall, Mr. James Wood with the Washington Nationals, AA affiliate. Born 9/17/2002 in Rockville, Maryland. Drafted by the San Diego Padres in round 2, pick 62 overall out of the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. I apologize. I can't read. He came over in the trade for Blake Snell. Am I right? No, not Blake Snell.
Juan Soto
trade. So he went over with, it was James Wood, a pitcher, and the other outfielder.
Robert Hassel,
and for Juan Soto. And James Wood.
And there was another pitcher in there too. But anyway, continue.
Was there 1 or 2 pitchers? There was 2?
I think there was 2. There was 4 players overall.
Yep. Okay. And the guy's 6'6", 240 pounds, and I think that is even a little bit low on both ends. I think he's 6'8", and I think he's about 260. He's a mountain of a man. Great season last year. We talked about him pretty hard in the offseason last year. We said, go get him. You have to have him. This year, 473 at-bats, 262 average, 353 on base, slugged 580, on base plus slugging 873, 26 home runs, 18 stolen bases, 173 strikeouts, which is way too freaking high, 65 walks, 28 doubles, 8 triples. God, another guy that's just stuffing the stat line. I'm still on board. I said last year, you have to have him. If you want to be relevant in fantasy baseball, you have to have James Wood. I'm still there. His batting average suffered because of strikeouts. Was that because of the move over to the Washington Nationals? It could have been. I like to put excuses on guys that I love, especially in this zone. I'm all about James Wood. I have to have him.
Okay, so I want to be very clear about this. I practice what I preach. What I say here on the show, I do. By and large, and it's all a matter of degrees. So not everything is like black and white. I just do or don't. It's a matter of degrees. And James Wood was a guy that last year I acquired super early on in the season. I said, this is a guy that you want, you need. And I traded, who was it that I traded for James Wood at the time? Somebody who lost a lot of notoriety.
It was in the CBS league, right?
No, that was in our league, our home league. Anyway, big deal. Early on in the season, moved somebody for James Wood, 1-1. Oh, Khalil Watson. You remember that.
Yeah.
Khalil Watson.
Yeah, I was pissed.
Now, I moved James Wood again this year. And this in 2023, I moved James Wood in a deal. You don't remember this?
No.
Okay, so I moved James Wood. I traded him, and I got Jose Ramirez. Not just 1-1. Like I moved a couple prospects. One of them was James Wood. But I want to say this to emphasize that I practice what I preach. And what I am going to say here might be upsetting in a sense, but I think James Wood is a really good prospect. But he showed enough signs of challenge this year to where I was like comfortable with moving him. He had a very good start to his season in high A, which is what was expected, but the plate discipline wasn't quite as good as he had shown last year, which was the big development for him. And then in double A, even though he still hit with tremendous power, he did really well. The plate discipline was not nearly as good, and he struck out a lot. I moved him, and I got Jose Ramirez, helped me win a title in the league. So no regrets whatsoever in doing that. I would do it every day, all day. And I'm here to say right now, last year we were on Bats and Stats, and we were saying bye James Wood. I think he might actually be a good sell high candidate. And that's not to say I don't think he's going to be a good prospect, because I think he will be. Or a good player. I think he's going to be a good player. A very good player, indeed. But
my thoughts on it, yeah, you got Jose Ramirez. Yeah, you won a national title. Yeah, you got the title. You will rue the day that you traded James Wood. You're going to look at James Wood in 5 years and be like, good God, I wish I still had him. You got the title. That's all that matters. We're going for titles. We're going
I can only have 3 outfielders, Brian.
That's true. You got Juan Soto, Corbin Carroll. Who's your third?
Evan Carter. I picked Evan Carter over James Wood.
Yeah, you were wrong. Anyways, James Wood, go get him. Ross says sell. I say go get him.
I'm not saying sell. I'm saying he's a good sell high candidate. He said sell. He's a good sell high candidate, but I think he's probably a hold in most leagues. I don't think it's somebody to run from, but I think there's enough to suggest like it's not all a guaranteed incline from here. One of my favorite articles from last year, by the way, was called James Wood is Divergent. I loved that article. It was incredible. Tall guy, big guy, lots of projection, speed, power. There's a lot of possibility when it comes to James Wood. But again, root yourself in the numbers. Look at what the numbers are saying for James Wood when he went to Double A. Granted, he was only 20 years old, but 39 walks, 124 strikeouts, and 368 plate appearances. That's a lot of strikeouts, man. That's really high. So that
he's Aaron Judge, but better.
He's been challenged at that level, is all I'm going to say. And he still hit with power, so the numbers are pretty solid, but buyer beware.
He's Aaron Judge, but better. That's my opinion. Talking about an MVP.
Again, at the end of the day, the name of the game for me is trying to take the guessing out of the game. So if there's some guessing, I'm trying not to do that.
We're moving on. We're moving on to number 6. After this one, guys, I got to tell you.
No, we're on 7, dude. Let's go back one. 7.
Who did I miss? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who am I missing?
We have right now Ryan Clifford.
Yeah.
You are missing somebody then.
I am. Okay, well, right now.
Carter, Zavala, Rodriguez.
I'm missing Zavala in there.
Okay.
Okay, that's all right. I'll fix it. Our next up is Ryan Clifford. And I got to tell you guys, this is the point in our next 6 that you can't miss. This is the last one like you can go get, and it's not going to destroy your team. The next ones, they're going to destroy your team if you want to go get them. But Ryan Clifford is our next one. He's with the High A affiliate with the New York Mets. He was born 7/20/2023 in Raleigh, North Carolina. He got drafted by the Houston Astros in round 11, pick 343, high school Pro 5 Academy, Apex, North Carolina. And his stats, I want to do overall. I don't do overall a lot, but I'm going to do it this. Well, no, I'll just do 2023. 2023, he's seen high A, and then high A with a trade. He had 423 at bats, average 262, 374 on base, 480 slugging, on base plus slugging 854. 24 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 140 strikeouts, 64 walks, 20 doubles. God, that's a lot of doubles. I love it. I love the doubles. What do you think about Ryan Clifford? He was traded to the New York Mets for Justin Verlander and Drew Gilbert.
Yeah. I think Marco Vargas was in that deal too.
No, it's just those two.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Ryan Clifford was one of our guys this year. One of the STS darlings, right? There's no doubt about it. He struggled after that trade.
Yeah, he did.
There's also no mistaking that. He struggled quite a bit after that trade to the Mets. But I want to remark on how similar I think Ryan Clifford's profile looks to James Wood's overall. James Wood had this great breakout season last year, but overall, I think this year, age adjusted, their profiles look very similar. So this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. But the difference here is Ryan Clifford can be obtained for much less. So that's why I think I was making the commentary on James Wood that I did, and why I'm saying that Ryan Clifford is probably a good buy candidate. Because it's similar. If you adjust for age, it's very similar sort of productions. In fact, STS has him one spot ahead, which is surprising to me. But very high volume walk and very strong power from Ryan Clifford. The strikeouts are something to watch. But again, they were worse for James Wood this year. So why is everybody ignoring that? Not a lot of speed here in the profile. So don't go there looking for that. He might end up at first base. In fact, I think when he went to the Mets, he was playing primarily first base.
James Wood batted 313 at high A. 313 over the full season. And you're going to compare that?
Last year?
Okay. Last year. Not this year, last year.
Last year, when he was older by a year. By a year and some change, I think. So I'm saying you age adjust it, and to me, it's very similar. We're looking at something very similar. If not, and the big difference there is I'm not saying that Clifford is a better prospect. I'm not saying that. I don't have it ranked that way. I'll tell you how I have it ranked. I have Ryan Clifford as my... Let's see, where are you, Clifford? I have him as my 48th prospect, number 48.
I think I'm mid-50s.
And I have James Wood at number 12.
Yeah.
So I'm
Might
not
have
saying
James Wood 8.
So I'm not saying that Clifford is a better prospect than Wood. I'm saying
It's more
Clifford is a significantly better value than Wood. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So
you're wrong.
Age-adjusted production, from what I'm seeing, I just look at those numbers and I'm like, they're pretty similar. This year, just the 2023, they're pretty similar. Career-wise, James Wood has, in my opinion, a better track record because last year he had a real good breakout that was very impressive. So I would prefer going to try to obtain Ryan Clifford right now than I would James Wood. And these were the kind of insights that I think STS excels in pointing out to people. So
Fine.
buy Ryan Clifford now. And his stock is minuscule also because he was drafted in the 11th round. So people look at that and they're whatever, guy had a good season. This guy came in with top first round pedigree. I want to add that. He came in with first round pedigree. They had some shenanigans going on in the draft. He was going to go play college ball, but the Astros somehow talked him out of it. And then they traded him like the ruthless sons of bitches that they are. Anyway. I don't know.
Okay, so we hate – let's get this straight right now. We hate the Astros now. We hate the Rockies now. And we hate the Yankees. So if you guys like those major league teams, like
hey, I don't hate them. I don't hate the player. The Astros I don't hate. I just think they're ruthless, man.
I hate them.
All right.
Okay,
Last
here we go.
double IPA, by the way.
So we have 6 players left. Ross, where is Zavala ranked?
Zavala's number 4.
Zavala's 4. I don't know how I missed that. Give me just 1 second to add here.
But he should not be above this guy.
No, nobody should be. Well, there's 2 of them that should be above him. What's Zavala's first name? Samuel?
Samuel, while you're doing that, I'm going to pee.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so our next one, I like to call him Chourio, but that's not how you pronounce it. It's Chourio. So it's Jackson Chourio. It's the Milwaukee Brewers. He's 19 years old. He's 5'11", 165 pounds. That's outdated. He's probably 200 pounds. He's a big dude. Born 3/11/2004 in Venezuela. He is Jason's brother. I guess I could pronounce it that way. In 2023, he's got 1,090 at-bats in his career, but I just want to break down his 2023 stats. 531 at-bats, batted .282, on base .338, slugged .467, on base plus slugging of .804. He had 22 home runs, 44 stolen bases, 104 strikeouts, 43 walks, 26 doubles, 3 triples. Okay, I know I've mentioned it like 5 times tonight of what does he do bad. This one, there's nothing he does bad. It is solid across the board. The Brewers have a superstar on their hands. You guys can't afford him. I can't afford him. If he's on a team, sorry, you're not going to get him.
But you could sell him.
You could sell him. Would you sell him?
So this is an interesting topic. Now, this is a very interesting topic. I think this is worth discussion. because we know Chourio is a superstar.
Yeah.
So, or a superstar in the making. He's not a superstar now.
In the
Sorry,
making. Yep.
I should stipulate.
I should have mentioned this. I apologize. He's 19 years old in AAA.
Yeah. So last year, early on in the season, the STS model was like picking up on Chourio like crazy, and so I was promoting him. I was like, this guy's a huge up and coming prospect, and he's sort of settled in a lot lower than I think people now have him ranked, which is interesting because I was early in on telling people about him, and now our system that I heavily rely on is having him lower than most people think he is. And oftentimes we're criticized for that. You know, the interesting dichotomy at STS is like, you can be there, you can be trying to help people early and often, and you'll still get criticized in the end for not having them built up enough. And that's where it is with Chourio. And the thing with Chourio now is that he is going to be a major leaguer to start next year, which is huge. But it also means everybody knows this guy has superstar potential. And he's already going to start next year in the major leagues. Does that mean he's going to be a star right away? I don't think so. I think
but he's going to develop into it.
Possibly. But what can you get in return for Chourio right now? Because his value is peaking, or it is at a peak. It may not be peaking. It maybe his peak is way higher than this. You know, I don't know that. I can't tell the future, but that's why we play the game. So is he a sell high candidate in that STS right now is viewing him as lower than guys such as, well, there's not a lot of them, I guess, but like a Junior Caminero or something like that. Yeah, you know, there's deals that you can do or dream up that may benefit you in the end based on Chourio's hype right now. I know this. At the Dynasty Guru, we do consensus rankings. And Chourio was the number one consensus outfielder. I don't believe that. I like Chourio a lot. I have my number 2, but I don't have number 1. But if he's viewed as the number 1, that means I can move him for who I think is the real number 1, who is Wyatt Langford. So that opens up a potential opportunity. And why would I even open that up? Why would I even say that that's a possibility? He's got power. He's got speed. Apparently he's tremendous as a defensive outfielder. But the one thing that he doesn't have that is in spades is plate discipline. It's all right. It's not great.
It's pretty good.
It's all right. It's not great. That's how I'm going to put it. So, you know, there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity there. Okay. So now all that said, Chourio has star talent written all over him, and he's a guy you probably want to roster in general. So, sell high potential, but like, you already own him. You got him last year because you listened to us at STS. Just hold on to him. He also garners a comp, which I think you'll love at STS, of Mookie Betts. He does not have Mookie Betts' plate discipline, but he has that talent all around, apparently. It's a great one.
Okay. What? Okay. So
I said my piece.
a high-end trade. We're living in the normal. You pick up a rebuilding team, and you pick up a team that is already good, but you want to start the rebuild. Do you do Soto for Chourio?
Hell no.
Okay.
No. These guys are not on the same plane, in my opinion. That's my view of things. No, it's not. It's not the same. I think Chourio is a hell of a prospect, but no.
Okay.
No, you don't.
Okay. It was posed a question. It popped on in the top of my head. I see a regression from Soto. I know you don't. And I see Chourio just ascending through things. I wouldn't do it either, but it popped in my head.
Don't
All right, so Chourio, go get him if you can, but it's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get him, sure. Yes.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah.
All right. Our next one. Our next one, we have another debut, another guy that Ross just absolutely freaking loves, Evan Carter, for the Texas Rangers. Texas Rangers, as a ball club, how much are you in love with the Texas Rangers right now? I am. That team is stacked.
I'm pretty head over heels. Yeah, not gonna lie, they're awesome.
Texas Rangers, Tampa Bay Rays, Arizona Diamondbacks, Baltimore Orioles, and the Reds. Those 5 teams, man, they are fucking insane. Pardon my language.
You still see that with the Diamondbacks right now after Carroll's graduation?
I think the Diamondbacks are only going to get better.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that in general, but without Carroll, like, that system dampens quite a bit.
I'm not talking about systems. I'm talking about teams.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Teams in general. Those 5 are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And even with the way that the MLB buys players, I don't know if other teams can catch up. Those 5 are insane right now.
Yeah,
I know you have the Yankees. I know you have the Braves, and both of them are going to be really good. But those 5,
you got the Dodgers too. They've shown an unending will to be able to spend whatever they need to do what they want, which is fairly incredible. Everybody wants to be down on them, but hey, man.
So I wanted to mention this. I wanted to mention this at the very beginning of the show. So I read something. It's Ohtani, $700 million, and Yamamoto. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
$300 million. So they have
$325 million.
So $1 billion in 2 players. The Twins, the Red Sox, the Tigers, and there was like 9 other teams haven't spent that in the decade.
Well, and to be fair to the Dodgers, they're not going to spend that in a decade either.
Yeah, because he's diverted. So that rule needs to change.
He's deferring so much.
You can't defer that. That is bullshit.
Why?
You're just playing it off. It's a Bobby Bonilla contract.
They still got to pay it. It's just
but it's not going up against the salary cap and the salary taxes and bullshit. No, that is wrong.
The structure.
They need to step in.
The structure was proposed by Ohtani.
That's bullshit. So you can sign other players?
Okay, but Ohtani's making $2 million a year. And he's easily worth 5 times or more that amount.
He's getting it no matter what. It's just going to be when he retires. It's just not counting against their salary cap.
Right. So
it's bullshit.
But I'm saying he's getting it. Yeah, but he's not getting it now. That doesn't. Come on, let's be realistic. If you were offered a job and they were like, "Hey, we'll pay you $20,000 a year now, and you can take $150,000 20 years from now," would you do it? No, because you need more than $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're talking about
he's
$2
willing to
million.
do it. Granted, yes, he's willing to do it because his needs are met, but like he's still making a sacrifice. He's making a sacrifice on the front end because he knows he can make money other ways. Like he's not he's a smart guy clearly, and at the end of it, he knows he's going to be taken care of. That's retirement, man. That's retirement for Ohtani.
Yeah, but as far as sports,
and the Dodgers love this because they're like, oh yeah, the dollar is going to be so much less valuable in 15 years than it is now because that's the way the world works. Anyway, why are we going off on this tangent?
It's a loophole.
All of our followers.
It's a loophole.
Subscribers on YouTube.
It's a loophole and it's bullshit.
I disagree with that. I think it's business and it is what it is. And every other team had the same opportunities presented to the Dodgers. They just didn't offer as good of a deal. Period. And you know what? You know what works in the Dodgers' favor? I don't know. Maybe I'm overstepping this. Magic Johnson's a part of that, right?
Yeah.
I think Magic Johnson helps work some wonders there. He's the magic man. He makes magic happen.
That's unbelievable. You agree to this. You're a capitalist fraud.
How is that? What do you mean? That is capitalism, man.
I know. We're going back to Evan Carter. Evan Carter in 2023 had 420 at bats, 288 average, 413 on base, slugged 450 on base plus slugging is 863. He had 13 home runs, 26 stolen bases, 111 strikeouts, 81 walks. Great plate discipline. 17 doubles, 6 triples. He debuted. He's going to start for the Rangers this year. I think the sky is the limit for Evan Carter. Right? Like, he's going to be their best outfielder.
Well, I love
and that's above Adolis Garcia and those guys.
Yeah, sure. Well, okay, so where to start with this? The ascendance of Evan Carter. I'm a big fan because I think our name, STS, has been so heavily attached to Evan Carter because we pegged him from the very beginning of his career as a guy that you wanted to have your eye on, and he's turned out to be so much exceptionally more than that. And then last year, we're going back 2 years ago. Nobody was talking about Evan Carter except for us. Like, we were very obsessed with him for whatever reasons. Well, there's very clear reasons, but most people don't view it that way. And then last year, we were touting him as a potential number one prospect. I know I was. I shouldn't talk about the model specifically, but the model was showing that. And lo and behold, like, he's skyrocketed up everybody's charts after his debut in the major leagues, which makes me feel really good. And I love this, and I really am a believer in Evan Carter. And I think even last year he had some struggles. It was a great start and then a period of struggle through the season and then a great finish. I think most of that was related to injuries. So I think the talent and the possibilities with Evan Carter are extremely high. And I think he's been cast off by so many people as being high ceiling, high floor, low ceiling. Like, he's not going to achieve that much. And I think he's blown all of that out of the water with his MLB debut. Everybody's now like, oh my God, what are the possibilities of this guy? So now here I come with the wet towel once again. He had some struggles last year, and I think it was injury related, but struggles nonetheless. and now his hype is so extreme. And he was in the World Series making great plays, which he will do. He's going to be a really good player. But is he going to be the guy that's slugging 645 in the major leagues from day one? No, I don't think so. So if you have an opportunity to sell him for that, I would do it. I would do it. And this is a guy that I have been on board with from the beginning. And you know that, Brian. So if I'm saying right now is an opportunity to maybe consider selling him depending on the price, I think you should consider it. Depending on what you get.
He's a cornerstone in your lineup. I see no reason to sell him. I don't think you can go get him because the price is going to be so high. So this is just a stagnant, like, just stay. If you own him, cool. He's going to be a fixture in your lineup. If you don't own him, you can't afford him.
Mostly what I'm going to do. But yeah. As I said, I practice what I preach. And if there is an opportunity, I will indulge it because that's who I am. And in fact, I had a deal on the table, I would say, for Wyatt Langford for Evan Carter. Another Ranger. Ranger for Ranger, outfield for outfield. This is a really interesting one. And the other owner said, intrigued. I think they were going to hold on, to Langford, but
it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to wait?
You make your deals, man.
Yeah. Or do you want to have the product now? Yeah.
Well, even so. I mean, those guys are practically both on the major league precipice. They are on the major league precipice. Evan Carter's already made his debut. It was just such an impressive debut that now everybody thinks he's the player that we always knew he was, maybe even more. And that's the thing. Like, they think that he's maybe even more, I'm
a big... So
you didn't indulge it. You didn't indulge it.
We're going to get there. Let's not spoil things because we're going to talk more about Langford in a little while. And I'll make my comments then. But let's move on to the next one. Let's go to the next one. What do you think?
Love Evan Carter, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. That guy's our guy. He's our guy. Yep. This is why you follow STS, is for the Evan Carters.
Can you pause it? All right, guys. We're jumping into number 4. And that is going to be Samuel Zavala. And Samuel Zavala is with the High A affiliate with the San Diego Padres. He's 6'1", 175 pounds. He is only 19 years old. He was born 7/15/2004. His stats this year is 399 at-bats, 243 average, 391 on base, slugged 406, on base plus slugging 797, 21 stolen bases, 14 home runs. That doesn't tell the complete story because his career stats are 263, 389, 452, 841 with 37 stolen bases and 25 bombs. This is what do you think here? Do you want to hold on this one and take a peek a little bit longer? He's young. He's good. The stats look very nice. He's already in High A. Probably see Double A by the time he's 20. What do you think?
Okay. I have complex thoughts on this. So he's a clear buy, in my opinion. Yeah. Go get him. Zavala really good numbers for a guy that was in his age 18 season at A and high A. Those are very advanced assignments. But the problem is that the STS system is not really built to handle a guy that's old for his age, old age, his age level season. And we'll get this down right now, but I think this would knock him down a few pegs. But he qualified as an 18-year-old, but was 19 most of the season, or at least half the season. A little less than half, maybe. There's a qualifying time period anyway, and he was 18 through that period, but very shortly after turn 19. So to me, like, he's probably knocked down a couple pegs because of that, but shows interesting plate discipline, is a good hitter, has, really good plate discipline. So I think he's an interesting player. He's not really highly ranked by many people, so I think he's a buy. I think go get him.
I think this
would not be above Evan Carter, in my opinion.
This
But
is
he's
an
a guy
odd one.
He's also a guy that's kind of like Evan Carter in a lot of senses. Like, nobody cared about Evan Carter until all of a sudden he was in the major leagues and he was doing damage,
Yeah, this is an odd one. His placement is odd. His stats are a little odd. There's clearly something here. He's nowhere near James Wood, Pete Crow-Armstrong, none of those guys. But there's something here that I'm very intrigued by. This is cheap. He's already number 4 on our rankings. This is an absolute go get him.
Go get him.
Like, the system wants something here. The system is almost pulling a Brian Shanks feeling out and saying, this is one of your guys.
Well,
you gotta go get him.
It comes down to what I've always said to you, this STS system is good at identifying people early and often.
Yeah.
And Zavala is one of those guys, I think. I think it's an imperfect science when it comes to Zavala. I'll be honest about that. I think he's boosted up a little too far, but I think he still should be identified as a guy that's underrated.
Who's his comp?
Let's check it out. Zavala's comp. Ooh, you're going to like this. Cody Bellinger.
That's weird. You think I like that?
I think you like Cody Bellinger.
I don't.
You
never
don't?
have. No, I never have.
All right.
That's interesting. Oh man, that's interesting. That's a boomer bust, right? Like the first thing you think about Cody Bellinger is he's either going to give me everything or he's going to give me nothing.
Yeah, and I don't know that our system is so advanced that it sees those nuances, but it sees something that it signifies looks like Cody Bellinger. So
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I say go get him because this is the cheapest one that you're going to have in the top 5.
Oh, no doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
Because beyond here is like, get out of
here. If you don't know him, if you don't know him, you ain't going to get him.
Maybe the number 1.
All right. Well, let's pop into it. All right. So our next one, we're in the top 3.
Oh. Wow.
So this is a basketball term. This is how you said it's a 3-pointer. It wasn't this. Here we go. Top 3. What do you think, Ross? Emmanuel Rodriguez. Minnesota Twins, 5'10", 210 pounds, 20 years old, out of the Dominican Republic, born February 28th, 2003. His season stats this year, I could blow up. Let's do his whole career. Whole career in the minors, 616 at bats, 242 average, on base of 413, slugged 495, on base plus slugging is 908, 172 walks, and 242 strikeouts. Good God, that's a lot of walks. 35 home runs, 14 triples, 23 doubles. Are we completely infatuated with Emmanuel Rodriguez? Completely?
Well, we got on here last year and we said, go get him.
Go get him.
And then you even had an opportunity last year in the first 2 months because he was struggling something mightily. And we were getting some heat from that, I think, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Emmanuel Rodriguez sucks, and like he's striking out 50% of the time, which was really high, exorbitant. Yeah. And he is a high strikeout guy. He's going to be.
Yeah, but man, he watches.
After that, he turned it around. After that, he turned it around. He was like a 260 hitter the rest of the season. With, he's going to have a huge OBP, like 420, 430. And he hits with power. He does. When he makes contact, what everybody says is like he needs maybe to swing the bat more often, like get the bat off your shoulders because he's so patient or whatever. But this is working for him still. And even despite a down season, I would call that a down season. Still not a bad season. The profile looks really good to me. Go get him. I say go get him.
Yeah, we're with the Twins. We're with the Twins. He's going to be 21 years old. Probably going to start this season at Double-A. That's a pretty good age to level placement. Are we in love? Are we completely in love with Emmanuel Rodriguez?
Yeah, I think
so too.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
I think we
have. He's not an 80 ranked prospect. He is a bona fide top 40.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go as aggressive as STS is with him, but bona fide top 40 in my opinion. And at those prices, yeah, we love him, man. Yeah. And he at the major league level, I mean, this guy was garnering a comp to Sammy Sosa at one point. Mm-hmm. And I think Sammy Sosa makes a lot of sense to me because he hit for power. I don't think that Emmanuel Rodriguez is going to hit 60-plus home runs. That's not what I'm saying. So please bear with me. But he came into the league, Sammy Sosa did, with a lot of power and a lot of speed. And I think that's what Emmanuel Rodriguez has. He's got sneaky speed, Look at Sammy Sosa. He didn't look like he had speed, but he did. He had some speed early on until he stopped running. So I think there's a similarity there in that. I say go get him.
The nice thing about this, yes, it's going to be expensive. Okay. Emmanuel Rodriguez.
Not that expensive, though. Not
Not crazy. Yeah, not crazy.
Yeah.
You could get this with a pile of prospects and maybe a major leaguer. And I'm all for it. And I'm all for it. Like, go get him. Put the rubber stamp on it. We need like a stamp that we can do. Go get him. Right across the screen. Go get him. Whoosh.
All right.
Yeah. Gotta go get Emmanuel Rodriguez.
Go get him.
We only have 2 left. We only have 2 left, and
now this is going to be shocking though, because it's not going to go the way people expect.
Yeah, people are going to be pissed. Let's just say it right now. This is not our views, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not our views. This is not our views. We do not have Wyatt Langford as number 1. We do not have Dylan Cruz even on the list.
That doesn't seem right.
Right? Dylan Cruz didn't even make the list. Wyatt Langford is not number 1. Wyatt Langford is number 2. Guys, let's break down Wyatt Langford, Ross. Wyatt Langford is a 22-year-old, 6'1", 225 pounds, AAA affiliate with the Texas Rangers, drafted 2023 by the Rangers. Pick 1. Round 1, pick 4 overall out of College, Florida. Lit up the scene, guys. Lit up the scene. 161 at bats, 360 average, 480 on base percentage, 677 slugging, on base plus slugging 1.157. 34 strikeouts, 36 walks, 12 stolen bases, 10 home runs. I've never seen a profile like this. Can you? Yeah, I've never seen a profile like this.
What do you mean?
I haven't seen it. Not in the first year.
Okay.
Not in the first year, coming out of college, going straight to Jupiter. Can you think of a? Yeah. I'll preface this. Dylan Cruz was my guy. I said Dylan Cruz was going to be an absolute monster superstar. Wyatt Langford was behind him 3 spots. I think I had Cruz, Skeens, Max Clark, the guy that got drafted 4th, and then Langford. Langford went all the way above every single one of them. Langford is a superstar, right?
He certainly has the look of it. Yeah.
What do we do here?
You go get him. I don't know. How do you handle this? It's a tough one because we're dealing with a small sample.
Yeah, but like I said, have you ever seen this out of a college bat? Just holy shit, and then promotion. Holy shit! Like he's going to be in the major leagues next year, starting.
He could. He could very well be starting in the major leagues next year. Have I seen that? I don't know. Maybe not quite like that.
It's pretty impressive. It's freaking wild.
Very impressive. I don't know. I don't know, Brian. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. Not in recent history, but I'm sure there have been plenty of other examples.
Oh yeah. He had 161 at bats in the minor leagues this year. He probably had another, 300 during college. So he had 500 at bats between
303 plate appearances in college, 200 in the minors. That's 503 plate appearances, 496. Yeah. Oh wait, 496. What do we got? Yeah. Wait, sorry. 503 plate appearances, and we got, I don't know the number of at-bats. Whatever.
That's insane to me. For a kid coming out of college, blowing up that many at-bats and producing. Like, there should have been some sort of regression of, swapping teammates and, getting acclimated, new town, new city, all kinds of head games that is going through a kid's head. And he didn't even blink. Not even once. It's like, nope, I'm here to play baseball, and I'm going to crush the shit out of that ball. Wyatt Langford, for me, is the number one overall prospect. I don't care what you say. You can take Caminero. You can take whoever the ski. You can take whoever you want. Langford is number one.
Yeah,
he's unreal. It's unbelievable.
Oh, well, I mean, okay, I agree with your premise.
I'm eating crow on this.
Getting really hot.
I'm eating
Getting really hot on this. I think.
I'm eating crow because I said Dylan Cruz was way better. I'm eating crow.
Okay, well, so have I. So have I on that topic. I mean, I've come out and changed my position. Like, I'm not. I guess this is a thing. This is a philosophical conversation to have about being successful in fantasy baseball or in anything. It's a reality of life. To be rigid and set in your ways and not willing to change is a problem. You know, and it certainly is when it comes to prospect evaluation and when it comes to comparing players and people. Because comparing me and you, Brian, is, let's be honest, it's not a comparison. No, we're wrapping this all back up. You like being you like being competitive? But come on, no. Anyway, getting back to this, no, I honestly, like, you compare the top guys, and it's so tight. And you got Dylan Cruz, you got Wyatt Langford running together like fucking, I don't know, like they're exploding atoms or something like that. You know, they're coming to collide so hard.
Two Rams butting heads up in the mountains of Montana.
Yeah, but when you get in the major leagues, when you get in the minor leagues, and in the major leagues, this is a good point, something I need to think about a little bit more. But you separate yourself so much more, you know, because they both had great stats coming up. But I feel like Langford has separated himself pretty clearly. And it took a while for me to come around to that conclusion. But what you're saying is a little wild to me. Like, I think Langford is bona fide. You can't mess with this guy. You can't miss. Like, every way around it, he is a great prospect. But there's other great prospects too that are doing it similar levels, younger. You know.
Yeah, we're talking about 161 at bats. That's all Langford's got is 161 at bats. He's got a long time to prove it before he goes nuts.
And let's redefine what we're looking for when it comes to fantasy baseball. When it comes to dynasty baseball, it's about looking for the best player, not looking for the best player that year. It's looking for the best player.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, anyway, Wyatt Langford, bona fide can't miss star. We're seeing it in the making right now. No buts about it. But he didn't come in at number one.
No, he didn't.
And that's crazy.
Do you want to know who number one is? Do you want me to break this down?
I don't know. Yes?
It's not Dylan Cruz. It's not Dylan Cruz. Where did Dylan Cruz fall?
He just missed out. He's like just on the outside.
Okay,
115, I think overall is what he ranked.
So let's talk about a couple guys before we get into number one. A couple guys that might have missed the list. I have a Marion Boyd, but he got hurt. He had a blown out knee. A Marion Boyd missed the list. Do you have anybody that could have quite possibly in your top 30 that should have made the list?
Oh, you mentioned Dylan Cruz. That's a pretty obvious one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who else do I got? Now let's go with that one. Obvious guys. I feel like some of the ordering I would change a little bit, but no. Yanquiel Fernandez. Let's talk about him maybe a little bit. I don't know. He'd be interesting to see in this list. And I think he was there. He faded a little later in the season. But
I think STS hit the nail right on the top of the head. They did a great job ranking these guys. Once again, these are not our views. These are part of an analysis, part of a machine, and I think they got it. They got it right.
Yeah. So
with that,
somebody that you need to pick up on right now.
So this is the scary part. This is the number 1 overall outfielder by STS. And yes, he's going to be expensive. But other than, Cruz and Langford, where they're completely unattainable, Montes is attainable. There are some leagues in here that Lazaro Montes, you would be able to go get this guy. He is 19 years old. He is 6'3", 210 pounds. Don't let that fool you. I seen a video. He is 6'12", and all of it. And he is born in 1022 out of Cuba. His stats, he was in the rookie level DSL last year, but this year he went to rookie level on the state side and then to single A. And he had 241 at-bats, batted .303. His on-base percentage was .440. He slugged .560 with an even on-base plus slugging of 1. Big numbers. He struck out 76 times, walked 54 times, 2 stolen bases, 13 home runs, 19 doubles, 2 triples. Lazaro Montes is an athletic freak. If you look at any kind of video, you will see the difference between, I'll put it in perspective, between me and Ross. Ross is 5'6", I'm 6'3".
What the fuck?
It's like it's glaring.
5'10".
It's glaring how much bigger he is than everybody else. He's huge. I was just kidding. But I am 6'3" and he's 5'6".
Well, if you've ever played high school basketball, that's how much the difference plays up in basketball, right? Like,
I said I was 5'11" on the roster sheet, and everybody called it out. Shanks ain't 5'11".
Anyway. Okay, so yeah, everybody called it out. He plays up like he's 7 foot. But I mean, it does make a difference. That's the point that I'm saying, is that if you're 5'10" on the floor versus being 6'2" in small town America anyway, like, that's the difference between being a center and a point guard, or a shooting guard. Like, it's a huge amount of difference.
Yeah.
Anyway. So when you get more extreme and 7 foot versus guys that are even smaller, it's insane. So Lazaro Montes, I would like to talk a little bit about him because I don't view him as the number 1 outfielder, but I do think he is a force coming.
Right there. Yep.
So when he first came into the league, he was viewed as this guy that had tremendous power, but there were significant concerns about his hit tool, his capabilities to hit, not strike out a lot. I think he's showing that those concerns were inappropriately placed, or he's been trained really well, one or the other. I don't know which it is, but he is with the Mariners. They've done really good. His peak projections only have him striking out in 21% of his plate appearances, so that's not that bad for a guy that has come into the league with some notoriety for he's going to be a K-King, you know. So really interesting to see that. He garners what else can I say? Unregressed, he projects for 40 home runs, and he garners a comp to Mark McGwire. That's pretty insane.
That's heavy.
Yeah. Power potential off the charts. Off the charts. Now, in most leagues, this guy should be pretty obtainable.
Yeah. Yep.
In our league, I think he's unaffordable.
He's with an owner that is not tradable. That story doesn't really obtain to our conversation.
Well, it doesn't really. Well, I don't know. Well, our situation doesn't really relate to most leagues, right? Our league is a little different. But still, the point being that Montes right now should be affordable. And STS is telling you need to go get this guy. You need to think about what you can pay to get him and take advantage of it. And if you can do that, if you commit yourself to paying attention to these kind of things, this is what sets you up to be a multiple-year championship winner.
Yep. Yeah, like you said, it shouldn't be expensive because, there's a lot of hype around him, but he doesn't have the statistical comps of AA, AAA, blah, 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 blah. You can go get him. You can go get it. You have to go get him. Go get Montes right now.
Absolutely. He's an absolute go get him. So we're both in agreement.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell that we're putting Montes above Langford, probably above guys like Carter or Chourio. But STS is telling you go get Montes right now.
Completely unbiased opinion. Completely unbiased. It's all stats.
Yeah, I can't disagree with it. Go get him. You need to go get him right now.
So, with how I started our podcast tonight, me being competitive against other people, and I should be just competitive against myself and be better, me to start the new year. This is what I'm talking about. Fantasy baseball's a lot of what I'm talking about. Just be the best of you, man. Go find some players that you like, that we talk about, and you don't have to be better than the powerhouse team this year. You can work on that later. You don't have to compare yourself to that other team. Such is life. You don't have to compare yourself to other people.
But damn it, you better win your league this year. Come on, let's get there.
I think that's very profounding. I really do. I think that's very important to look at yourself, and you don't have to be better than the other person. Just be the best of you, man.
All right, Brian, can we high five the camera? Because I'm in agreement. Yeah. Boom, boom. All right.
Hey, guys.
Totally out of
You
sync.
guys, yeah, 4 hours later, I really enjoy you guys. I hope you enjoy us. We're going to do it again. We have starting pitchers and relief pitchers coming in next.
You know who's going to be on that? The starting pitchers list? Yamamoto. I can't wait to talk about that.
Ross is already pumped.
I mean, he's not going to be on the list, but we'll talk about him.
All right, Statliners. It was nice seeing you. You guys take care. Brian, as always, and just Ross. Later.